This is Joseph Basic, and welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live. We got a good show for you tonight, but before I begin, I'd like to thank everybody who sent well wishes to myself and my family. We lost my uncle last Thursday. Um, he was more than an uncle. He was my second dad, my brother, my best friend, but at least he's not suffering now. So thank you to everybody in the Fired Up Network team, on the FEM team, and everybody who knows our family. Uh, your well wishes was very much appreciated. Now, tonight on the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, right here on Fired Up Live, we're going to begin the show with The Breakaway, a special edition of The Breakaway with hockey player Taylor Woods and hockey legend and icon Digit Murphy talking about the new professional women's hockey league, the PWHL, and also then after that, the first of two editions of Inside the Game. Then we're joined in by the coach, Carmen Osako. He'll talk about John Herdman leaving his position as head coach of the Canadian men's national team to take up head coaching duties for Toronto FC. Yes, John Herdman leaving Team Canada to take on the coaching duties of Toronto FC. Then the second edition of Inside the Game, Starfield Review. And then the Hall of Famer John Freeman Nelson joins in to preview Week 13 in the Canadian Football League on CFL No Yards. Week 13, of course, Labor Day Classics. We got Edmonton, Calgary, Hamilton, Toronto, and so many other ones. A great matchup on Saturday with BC and Montreal. And then we close out the show with the Wrestling on the Mat Wrestling Show with Giancarlo Lino talking WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, also Impact Wrestling, Emergence, also Impact 1000, AEW, Dynamite, All In, and we preview WWE Premier Live Event, Payback, and AEW Pay-Per-View All Out, as well as we talk about UFC Fight Night on Saturday, UFC Paris, previewing that all tonight here on the Fired Up Network flagship show, Fired Up Live. So to begin the show, we have The Breakaway with hockey player Taylor Woods and legend woman hockey activist Digit Murphy. Joseph Pasek, and welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live. Welcome to a special edition of The Breakaway, because I don't have the new name of the new league of whatever. And we have the Hall of Famer Digit Murphy on here, and of course, hockey Toronto champion. We haven't said that since 1967. That's the truth. Taylor Woods here. All right. This is Taylor Woods here. All right. Digit, calm down. Boston hasn't won anything yet. All right. So, look.
Oh, you
All
be careful. Hey, I'm going to tell you right now, my teams, when I coached in the CWHL, we had 2 championships. So I'm telling you right now, we know what we're doing in Boston.
The what?
So,
the CWHL as opposed to
yeah,
NWHL? What are they calling this?
The league. So number one, the PWHPA shut down the CWHL, and now they have succeeded in shutting down the NWHL. So that's where we're at right now. So that's what we're talking about today, I think. But go ahead, Joe. I'm just giving you the history. People
I'm
forget
getting
about
confused already right off the bat. So Taylor,
there we go.
let's what we're talking about. Finally, there's one professional ladies hockey league until like 2028 when there's going to be 2. But anyways, let's
No.
let's talk about the new league here. Taylor, you're first of all, are you going to be drafted? Are you going can you take us through the draft, the free agency, the teams, everything like that? I'll give the ball to you, Taylor.
Yeah, A little bit confusing. So I think it opens on the 1st. They still need to announce the GMs, which I was hoping they were going to announce sometime in the morning because the
Hold
GMs
on, hold
need
on, hold on, hold
to.
on. Hey, Digit, are you a GM for one of these new six teams? So that means no. So we have talk.
So let me ask you a question. Why would I want to go be a GM when I was a president? I'm just wondering.
Why would you want to be a president when you run the Fired Up Network and going to run soon the new
I
Fed
mean,
Network?
quite frankly, it's very interesting how the whole process was, you know, came about. First of all, you eliminate the PHF. You eliminate 7 opportunities for women to play, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you know anything about Digit Murphy, it's about how do we create more opportunities, not less. So when the PWHPA, or I don't even, there's too many P's, okay? Professional Women's Hockey League, okay? Professional Women's Hockey League bought out the PHF, okay? And did not utilize any of the assets, did not utilize the players, did not utilize the GMs, did not utilize the president's IP. There's a whole bunch of information in all of the people that have worked diligently for the past 20 years for women's hockey. And to ignore that, I think, is a mistake, because it's a lot harder than you think to stand up a league. So you would have thought when they bought the IP that they would have used it, but it's been all fingers point that they're not using the IP. Players, coaches, GMs, whatever. We shall see. We shall see. Just saying.
Taylor, anything you want to say to that? Because you know what, it should be a great day for ladies hockey. You guys and Digit's been at the top of this, fighting for women's rights, fighting for one professional league, fighting for equal pay, fighting for if you get pregnant, you should still be paid, fighting for dressing room space, fighting for everything. But what have you fought for? And we're almost in 2024. They're going to start this league in January. They say, I was watching the press conference, like probably all you guys, all right? And the guy there, I think Stan was his name, said, okay, when are you starting the league? Sometime in January, maybe after I why do you have him there when you could have me there and say, yeah, well, we're starting a league. Well, when we're starting, sometime in January. How many players? We're gonna have 28 players, but only 18 can play. But they can't be drafted. But they can. Like, what is going on here?
Well, and I
Taylor,
think
clear it
even
up.
like they want to keep the cards close to their chest, which they are doing. Compared to other leagues, like they've done that pretty well. But at the same time, it's like it also shows uncertainty. This time frame of season one, it's 24 games, and it's like okay, like it's going to be 3 months, but it stretches from January to possibly June. They're saying it's like 24 games. So I'm doing the math, and it's like, is that 4 games per month?
Yeah.
With training camp starting November 13th, right? So now you just made it like a whole season, right? Now you're dragging that along, and it's like, okay, now you have your average pay, right? So average salary is 55, right? There's going to be some people making 80. There's going to be some people making a little bit more. There's going to be a lot of players like making less. So now the question is, it's like, is someone now going to give up like a full-time job, something that they're making good money in, to chase a passion that now they're devoting October to get in shape, October, November, December, January, all the way to June for 24 games of something uncertain. And I've questioned that going back and forth. I'm like, okay, let's let the draft handle that. We'll sort of see. I'm fortunate where I'm a coach, right? I could pull the trigger on different jobs if I want to, or pursue something, right? I've had that prospects over the summer. But yeah, they're just going to wait and see. The draft is September 18th. You have to declare for the draft before September 3rd. Supposedly they have a 300 player pool already. So I'm assuming that's going to be a little bit more. There's different eligibility stuff that comes into play. But yeah, the GMs have a lot to do within that short period of time. So, and also just responsibilities. Now like you talked about having infrastructure before and having this knowledge. And if they're not going to have knowledge, now you're starting from scratch and you had like a top down sort of thing. You're going complete bottom up trying to get into this new business. But again, that's business.
I think what you're seeing, I think to Taylor's point, what you're seeing, Joe, is you're seeing it play out to be more difficult to run a league than people think. And for someone who's, co-founded the lacrosse league, it's hard. For someone who started the Boston Blades, it's hard. For someone who, started the franchise in Toronto and then redid it in New York, it's hard. And the thing that people are forgetting is we had 8 years plus in Toronto of a base of fans. Okay. And you have to build on that base. So I am glad they are in Toronto. I am glad they are in Montreal. I am glad they are in Boston. I am glad that they're going to try to be in New York and Minnesota. So I think the markets are good. However, what rinks, what locker rooms, what sponsors, what television, all of this was built and baked into the PHF. So quite frankly, I think they cut off their nose to spite their face and said, we don't want anything to do with the PHF, as opposed to building on it and taking the high road. And I think what you're seeing right now, hopefully, is other people will buy into this. Maybe NHL teams will, maybe they won't. I think it's a mistake, though, to just buy into the NHL model with women's sports. You got to look at women's sports through a female lens, not only the men's lens.
So
That's a mic drop, Ben.
That is a mic drop. But as the unofficial agent for Taylor Woods here, all right. So I'm going to say this, Taylor, and Digit. I'm going to bring you into this, but Taylor, is it not true that somebody say here that you're going to score the game-winning goal for the Isabel Cup? Just say, basically you did or whatever. It's the tying goal. Just say yes. Just say yes. Go ahead, Taylor.
Okay, sure. Yes.
Okay. So now there's a new league. Now there's a new league starting. Okay. Do you have a job? You score the game-winning goal or tying goal to win the Isabel Cup. That's the trophy in the, whatever P. All right, whatever league that was. Okay, you're a champion. Do you have a job right now?
No, it's not even September. Like,
Oh,
draft hasn't even opened. They do have to sign 3 players. I don't think I'm going to be one of those 3 players on the 6 team, so 18 players. But I don't have a hockey job right now.
okay. So now I'm bringing Digit here. Digit, of course, the poobah of everything. Okay, notice I use the P word. Okay, so notice I use the P word. Okay, so she scores the game-winning goal, game-tying goal for a cup, a championship game. She knows what's to be under pressure. She knows. Look at her physically, still in Arnold. We'll talk about the Arnold and everything like that. How is she not a top 3 selection for maybe not number 1? Okay, a top 3 selection. Would you select her on your
Because
team?
here's what I'm going to tell you. You asked a couple questions. Why? There's only 6 teams. This is the issue that I have. If you have 13 teams, you can make an argument for Taylor Woods being signed in the top 3. They are going to make a huge difference and a big deal out of all the PWHPA players that held out. Remember, they held out for 4 years. So they owe these players. They don't want to reward the people that have been playing for the last 4 years. They want to reward the people that have not been playing. And they want to reward the Olympians. And it's okay. It's their league now. It's Mark Walters' league. One man came in, gave $100 million to run women's hockey. You have seen Stan, whatever his name is, come in. He's the head of it. You have seen their first hire be male. Joe, they are off mission in women's sports. For whatever reason, they want men to own them. They want the NHL to own them. And it is what it is. I mean, that's who they want women's sports to be, and they have the money. So when you have the money, you have the power, and you have the influence. We tried in the PHF. I have to credit John and Joanna for trying, and, all the owners, Andy and Tobin. And, we just, we couldn't sustain it because we couldn't join. So now that they're joining, God love them, I hope they can make it work, because I am a fan of the women's game. And it may not seem that as I'm talking about it, but I've seen the history. I've seen the CWHL, all they did fold. Now I'm seeing the NWHL/PHF fold. It's sad. You need to build people up, not continue to tear it down. And you know what? You look at women in general, that's what we do to each other. So we need to work together to make the sport great. And I am always here. I mean, I'm a pundit right now because I'm just telling people what the history was and what I feel. But I have my arms wide open to anyone that wants to create opportunity using women's sports as a platform for leadership. Taylor Woods has played for us. We do it right. I think that we have the secret sauce. They can call anytime.
So first of all, it's been a tough week for me. I don't want to be controversial, but since I'm the president of the provinces of Canada, I only said that one time.
Go ahead.
All right, here we go. Why is nobody saying this? And I'm gonna say this. Digit, we're friends, and Taylor, she was your coach and president and all that. Why is somebody not taking the ball and say your fundamental approach? You waited so long to do this. Why aren't you doing it properly? Why don't you have backing from ladies? You had Billie Jean King should have been on this media call. All right, she should have been on this media call. They have Stan and he's known, and I know him in the industry and the media industry. He's known as he's coach or he's GMing and all that in the LA Dodgers. Hell, LA Dodgers, for people who don't know who are the LA Dodgers, they're in baseball. Taylor, do you know what baseball is? Is baseball hockey? No. Baseball, and he may be a great financial officer. All right, he may be a great financial officer. I could be a great financial officer for not putting $1 in my own money into this. Show me that you care about the team. You care about, see, even babies know this. You care about the team and everything like that. Put your money where your mouth is. Bring in females who know, who want to push the agenda like Digit there. I don't know, Taylor. I'm going to ask you, who's the commissioner of this league?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, you know why you don't know? Because there's no commissioner. And hold on, if there's no commissioner, you would think that they put a lady in a ladies' hockey as a commissioner. Why? And I'm going to ask you this because I already know the answer. Digit. Has anybody got your digits other than this guy on Fired Up Network?
Yeah.
Did anybody
No.
ask for your digits?
No. And here's the thing. The PWHPA, this is what we have to get through our thick skulls. They want nothing to do with the PHF. That's why they put us out of business. So anyone, with maybe the exception of Reagan, because she came in late, maybe they can see value to her, they're not hiring us. Maybe the off coach or one GM, they don't want to hear what we have to say. And that's okay. Again, they've got all the money, they've got all the power, and they've got the influence. And hopefully they can do what volleyball just did. Did you see what volleyball just did? Put 92,003 fans in an outdoor stadium to watch women's volleyball because Nebraska knows that women's sports are important. They made them a model of success in their organization. So maybe this guy, Stan, maybe we're just looking at it the wrong way. Maybe he's going to do stuff like that. I hope so. But what I don't see is us being on mission and caring about women, except for the players that the 6 teams that they care about. You got to expand the base. You have to grow the brand, and you have to make women at the forefront of it by making a woman commissioner, by making a woman head of operations, by making Stan, whatever his name is, he should be called Susie. Let's put more women in empowerment and empowerment positions across this board. And I'm not seeing that. When the first hire is a man, you're off topic.
And of course, you're talking about Brian Burke, and Brian Burke is a big
proponent. No, I'm not talking about Brian Burke. I'm talking about, I don't even know who it is. The first guy that was hired, and I am making me look at my texts. But okay, Brian Burke is the head of the Players Association. So that's completely separate from who the league hires. Well, it's supposed to be, but I'm not sure it is. I think that if you look at relationships, people work with people they know. I'm sure that this is a
Okay, so
big
here, Digit
relationship
doesn't want to
driven
say
thing.
it. Digit doesn't want to say it, so I'll say it. Okay, Brian Burke. Brian Burke. He's a big proponent of ladies hockey, and he's good friends of you
100%.
and all that.
100%.
So here it is. That's a good hire. But Brian Burke is also part of the NHL. He was GM. He was part of NHL executive board and all that. So he knows about Gary Bettman. He knows about the Maple Leafs. He was GM of the Maple Leafs. He was GM of the Calgary Flames. If you name it, all the big teams, he's there. He's there to facilitate, and mark my words, he's there to facilitate the NHL involvement in this whatever league they're going to call it. Okay, that is 100%
Good.
accurate. That is 100% accurate. But I digress. I want to get to Taylor because Digit, even though you're 40 something, you're not playing hockey. All right. Okay. I gave you a compliment. You can give me
True.
a pat on the
True.
back. I gave you
You're
a
true.
compliment. All right. See, but
40.
yeah, uh, Taylor, who's not 40 something, scored the game tying goal in the Isabel Cup. That's the championship game. That's like the Stanley Cup. Doesn't have a job in a new league. Okay. So let me ask you. I'm going to go to Taylor here. You heard what Digit says, and you and Digit are friends, and you talk and all that. Is Digit right? Is Digit right from the beginning? This is a flawed system.
There's a lot of pieces. There's a lot of unknowns, a lot of uncertainty. It's unfortunate where you had two entities, right? Even if it's just like, hey, the PWHPA, you sort of operate and sort of they can't really step on what they did going forward. You can't step on going forward what the PHF did, right? So it automatically starts from that step behind. But I think the one good thing about it is that there's something more congruent, right? Since there is that quote unquote one league over how many seasons, like the last 4 seasons, it's always just been a headbutt. It's always been a stalemate. So now you eliminate that stalemate and now you challenge. It's like, okay, so what's now? I'm sure that's going to cave everything. But we're still, I think, they say it's like, hey, like we're gonna make mistakes in the first year. Yes, obviously, everyone makes mistakes, but I think it's gonna be like 3, maybe 4 seasons until you sort of see something concrete and something that's a little bit more consistent and uniform. Maybe they're still gonna do rapid expansion and trying to like change things after that, but like we'll see where it goes. It's gonna be always like women's hockey is always a fragile. Just a fragile ecosystem in any way. So it's just going to take a little bit of time to
How
rebuild.
and you mentioned 3-4 years, okay? There's one owner like Digit says, okay? And I don't know about you guys, okay? I'm Jewish, so they call me a cheapskate, cheap Jew. All right? So I'm gonna say this, all right, for you. So if I'm gonna lose, let's say he at the first year he's losing $50 million. I'm just saying. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. I don't know. Maybe Digit has crunched the numbers, all
It's
right?
less. It's less. It's less
Okay.
than that. But go
Is
ahead.
it much less?
Yeah, it's I would say with 6 teams, yeah, he's probably losing at least 30.
Okay, so 30. Okay, so how long can I lose 30 million? You're talking about 3 years. That's a $90 million, 100 million, whatever. Okay, how long can I afford to lose before I break even?
What's the percentage
Depending
of
on the
that per
person.
billion?
Sorry.
30 million to a billion. What's the percentage of that? Like
Yeah, but
maybe
but
like
even if you're a billionaire, you're counting because you're a billionaire. You're counting. Oh well, I'm a billionaire. I could lose $200 million. Who cares?
I,
Yeah. Well, give me the $200 million.
I,
Let me start a new league with Digit, and we'll see who comes.
I would say, Joe, that the 100 million, I think that's the number. I think that's it. I mean, if you look at the history of women's soccer, you really look it up. I want to say in the mid 90s or the late 90s that someone put $100 million into the first women's professional soccer league, and it went belly up in 3 years. So, have we really come that far? Because back then, $100 million went further than $100 million goes now.
Yeah.
So, if history has told us anything about women's sports, is that it needs to be a top down and a bottom up approach to grow the markets and grow the fan base and grow the television coverage. I mean, we're not talking soccer, we're talking hockey. Hockey is the 4th and almost being the 5th now sport in major league men's sports. Okay. So I always say be careful about what you wish for. If you looked at the Aurora games that we did back in 2018, there were women's professional basketball players. This was 2018, and they were not getting paid a livable wage. And they have been on the NBA's payroll for all those years. When you go underneath the NHL's umbrella, you have to go and grow by the way that they want you to grow, which is why I've always been a proponent of us standing on our own 2 feet and not being under the thumb of the NHL or what I call the man. I'm really happy that Walters gave the money. I'm really happy. But what I wish they would have done was built on what the PHF's success was, not destroy it.
And what was the success of the PHF?
Oh, I think it was they started to grow the major markets. They had salaries in place that were livable wages. They had 7 opportunities. They had most of the same team, the same markets. They had a GM structure. They had a league structure. They had a players association. It was all there packaged to them to just take over and learn. But nope, they wanted to exit all out and restart it again. And I just think that it's a waste of resources.
All right, so Taylor, I'm going to go to you. You played for almost every league, okay? The PHF, the CWHL, the Fired Up Network League,
NCAA.
NCAA, Fired Up Network League, everything like that, all right? And let me ask you this. Could you see growth in the 8-10 years that you played? Could you see growth from, okay, they eliminated the CWHL, but you see PHF, you're a champion. Could you see growth?
Can I see growth within 8 to 10 years?
No, with what you already played in these 10 years, because you played for college, you played for CWHL, now you're a champion of PHF. Could you
Yeah.
see growth? Would you have changed anything other than the financial backing? Would you change anything going into a new league?
I think, yeah, even just having the financial backing, I think even it would help the fans grow, right? So just getting that marketing side, and they were getting it right. Of course, like there was more fans growing, more awareness growing throughout even just all of women's hockey. But
And
even
COVID. Don't forget we had COVID. Not to interrupt, but don't forget
yes.
there was 2 years of COVID. But go ahead.
But then, yeah, I just think about like arenas and facilities. So I would love to not play out of York, even though it had some great fans coming through. It was sort of tight knit. Okay, you could sort of see, but people were confused whether they're at a tournament for like the younger kids or watching a Toronto Six game. So even just moving into a facility that you could call your own or just share with like a professional team. That would be nice. But again, that's a lot of, you talk about marketing, you talk about awareness, and that's like just under the sheet stuff. That's a lot. That takes probably, you can't just like pick up and move and say, hey, I have the bill to pay this. It's a lot of building and restructuring, and that takes about 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, and here's the other thing I'm just going to add. I 1000% agree with Taylor. Facilities is the number one problem in sports in general, particularly women's sports, because the revenue model behind what you need in ticket sales alone to bring in to be able to put you in these larger facilities and the locker rooms that are already leased out. There's just a lot of problems with facilities. And I think without an NHL partnership for the new league, it's going to be difficult because these facilities are hard to come by. Ask me. I've had to do it for the Blades so many times, Toronto Six, the Riveters. You just don't have that girth. You don't have those number of fans. You don't have that pocketbook that can own that whole area and that facility. So, I mean, there's so many cool things that they're doing. Like, look at the XFL football. What was that, Joe? When they all played in one area and then did like, there's a lot of models, I think, that need to be explored that women's sports aren't even thinking about. They think that they have to carve into how the men do it. I'll tell you right now, I think if the men had to go back in time, they may look at it like, wow, look at the NHL. We have to play 90 games to break even for our salaries or whatever, to make money. Like there's a lot of different ways that you can look at business models around sports that people aren't even thinking about because they just go right into how it has always been done. So maybe the PWHPA is going to be doing those kind of things. And I hope so. Because I really do want them to succeed. I just see a lot of, I'm not seeing a lot. Be honest.
Well, even
not
too,
seeing
so
a
if you
lot.
take like a game experience, right? So game, okay, solo event, 7 to 9:30, right? And people typically just look at like, okay, butts and seats, okay, that's the attendance. But if you expand the game experience to say, okay, this is the total revenue over the game experience, you have to expand it within 36 hours. So what are you doing promotionalized before, right? Is there any special thing where it's like, hey, you could sort of make up the butts and seats? Okay, how are you streaming it, right? How, like, what's the compensation coming back there? What are you selling, right? So you have to sort of define it differently of, hey, this is a game event. What is actually coming out or coming in terms of a game event, not just the solo 7 to 9:30 game.
All right, so let's sum up because we've been talking about this new league or whatever, and we have Taylor, right? And Taylor, I think I speak for. I don't want to speak for Digit, but I think I speak for. We all hope you get drafted. We all hope you get drafted
Please.
to a Toronto team. All right, because I don't want to afford losing you on the Fired Up Network or whatever. And we have an announcement to make right in a couple seconds. But Taylor, just sum up. Is this one league? Because we're talking all the negativity and all that. Is it one league positive and you could see, okay, we all said we hope this league is amazing or whatever. But can you see, let's say if we're talking next August 31st, September 1st, next year, can you say, well, now we're happy to play in one league and it's on CBC or ESPN or anything like that?
I'm too busy like just working in the trenches, right? You can't really say positive or negative. You just got to keep working at it.
That
And
means
there's just
negative, all
tons
right?
of
That means negative.
that's
If
even
it was
coming from
positive,
me.
you would say you're
Hey,
positive.
hey, I do think though that Joe, it is a positive that we are in one league. I think that I'm going to make a prediction, couple of predictions. I'm going to predict that the three players that they sign from each team are all going to be U.S. Olympians and Canadian Olympians. I'm going to predict that. I'm also going to predict that they are going to play a more round robin type schedule because I really feel that unless they announce partnerships with the NHL, they're not going to have locker rooms. They may do similar like hub situations or maybe they do a Bentley situation like we did at the playoffs at Boston. I just don't think they're going to have their locker room set. So I'm going to make those two predictions. They're going to play a round robin type schedule. And what was the first one I said? I can't remember. I'm getting old. I haven't eaten yet.
Locker rooms,
And that
Locker rooms.
Olympians,
no locker rooms, but
Canadian, U.S. Olympians.
yeah, Olympians. Those are my two predictions.
I'll even make a
I
better
need to go eat my
prediction.
lunch.
I'll make a better prediction. Sarah Nurse will be selected by Toronto's team. And Toronto's team better not be called the
Easy.
Towers or CN Towers or whatever. Come up with something original, all right? Come up with
Well,
something
that's
original.
another thing. No marketing and branding. You're announcing the league. You had all this
Yeah.
time. You have all this money and resource. You should have at least had a deck. It's 6 teams. Like we did that very short order just for the Toronto team. So again, like I don't want to be negative, but I'm just not seeing the movement I would want to see for this kind of resources.
All right. So
All
Taylor,
right.
you have as we close it out, you have an announcement to make because I think you're going to be on some network, Fired Up or Fem Network, because I know Digit's very excited about this. Tell everybody about it.
Very excited.
Yeah, I'm going to have a show. I'm calling it Everything Athletic, just because I want to. I've always met cool people with every sport that I've done, and also just within the fitness community. So, and the big thing is just hearing their stories and sharing their stories. Who cares about their accolades and stuff? Some have like competed on high stages and everything, but like it's about the stories. So just bringing that into light, and then just talking about just different sports because like that's again it's cool, there's different niches and it's something to share, so I'm looking forward to doing that when I come back from Dubai.
Oh, you're going to Dubai.
I'm going to Dubai. I'm going to play some hockey down there.
Have fun.
I found out that
Have fun.
my team has 9 players on it.
All right.
Guys, I gotta jump.
Okay,
I
go
love you
ahead.
guys.
Sounds good.
Thanks for having me on the show.
All right,
Gotta
and
go.
David also has a show coming up here, but we'll talk about that later. So
We'll talk
thanks,
about
Did.
that later.
Yeah, thanks,
Love
Did.
you guys.
All right,
I don't know how to
care.
get off. X me out, please.
I'll cut
X
you
me
out. I'll cut you out.
Thank you.
So
Bye-bye.
that's Digit Murphy here. We're gonna close with Taylor Woods here. I'm gonna, now that Digit is gone, I'm gonna ask you one final question.
Mhm.
Did you? And I know the answer. So it's tomorrow, September 1st.
Yeah.
September 1st, 2023. You don't have a job. In your wildest dreams as a champion, did you ever expect this?
Women's hockey could like anything could happen. I've learned that. This is it's 2023 end of August. I'm just sort of just again in the trenches, like riding the waves, sort of seeing what opportunities come up. But at the end of the day, like you just got to live out every day. And I have great friends and great family around me, and just looking forward to just getting involved in different ways, and hopefully hockey I could still be a player. But we'll see. The next few weeks are going to be pretty intense.
And I'm going to tell you, if you're a player, if you're not a player, you always have a job here on the Fired Up Network, and you're going to have a new show, and you're going to be our analyst here, because I don't know if you know this, in about 3 weeks, NHL preseason starts.
Yeah.
The Toronto Maple Leafs just giving an extension to Sheldon Keefe. Austin Matthews signing a $1 billion contract. There's a lot of stuff happening in Maple Leaf land. You're going to be here for Maple Leafs forever in the upcoming season. But Taylor, tell everybody as we close it out, tell everybody how they could get a hold of you social media wise.
I'm on Instagram at TWoodsTraining and Twitter at Tay_Storm. Mostly on Instagram. You can see all my training stuff, my lifting videos and everything.
And remember, she's also going to have, what's that show called?
Everything Athletic.
Everything Athletic. They're coming soon to this network. Taylor, any last comments here? And if you get drafted, when you're going to get drafted, you're going to give us or me a jersey of the new Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Boston, New York teams, right? Because you don't even know the names of them.
I don't know the names. Yeah, it's just the city right now.
Yeah, so you're welcome to the Toronto whatevers. All right, that wherever, whoever, whenever, that's your name there. All right. So again, it's actually good news as one professional ladies hockey league going to start, and hopefully it goes well for the upcoming season. Thank you to Taylor Woods and Digit Murphy, and stay tuned for more great programming here on the Fired Up Network. Thanks a lot, Taylor.
Thank you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley, that's Scott Savage, and you can join us each and every day over at InsideTheGame.ca, YouTube channels at Inside the Game Official, podcast services thanks to our friends over at FiredUp Network, all 212 platforms around the world, and of course, don't forget those beautiful TV streaming platforms around the globe. I'm talking about Roku, Amazon Prime, Samsung Plus, ESTV, Jinx Esports TV. Dude, the list goes on and on, Scott. There's so many platforms to find us. Just, you can't miss us. Just find us somewhere inside the game. Hard to miss. You know what else is hard to miss today? Dude, it's Starfield Day, Scott. I can talk about it. We're able to get into discussion. Yo, you joined me for this review, even though you didn't play the game, but you had some questions. Pretty cool review. Our longest review in ITG history. I can't stress that enough. ITG history was made today. Check it out. Dude, what's on today's show?
We have Todd Howard sending a bit of a thank you memo, just in relation. Beyond Good and Evil's 20th anniversary has a release coming, and that's not on my list. Sony raises the PS Plus price, and that's angered a lot of the internet. And a Borderlands collection has been announced. That's a good surprise.
Absolutely. a good surprise for some. Dude, I'm not much of a Borderlands fan, but yo, if you can give me more Tales, I'm in. So let's get going, man. Starfield, it's here. I'm so excited. Woo! Let's go. Scott, today is the day. It is Starfield review day. Dude, our review is up shortly, and it'll be going live. People can definitely check that out. But on top of that, make sure you don't miss it over on our YouTube channel, Inside the Game Official, as well as InsideTheGame.ca. But Starfield has been sitting around with rumors, this, that, and the other, but none other than himself, Mr. Todd Howard, had a few words to say. Jez Corden over at Windows Central has the exclusive. The early access launch of Starfield is imminent, and discussions online about the game are heating up, to say the least, Scott.
Oh, yeah.
Starfield is among Microsoft's most important Xbox exclusives in recent years. Built by the legendary software house behind the Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim, Fallout 3, and 4, the various other industry-defining titles, led by Bethesda's own Todd Howard. Starfield promises to be the studio's most expansive, most ambitious game to date, set in our very own Milky Way galaxy. Here's the story about how this gets set up. This is from Todd Howard himself. I knocked on Robert Altman's door. Got a few minutes? Sure, he says. It was early 2013. We were developing Fallout 4 and Skyrim was still enjoying enormous success. I was there to pitch him on our next game. It would not be a sequel to our current games. He looked concerned. But a grand space RPG and our first new IP in over 25 years looks curious. It would delve into creation and the search of our place in the universe. Slight twinkle in brackets he has. Dude, I like how this is set up, man. You would explore the galaxy in ways only video games can do. And it would be called Starfield. He smiled. Sounds fantastic. Robert would be the very first to believe in us, no matter the situation. Our path to creating Starfield would be a long and winding one where we made other games along the way. Fallout 4, Skyrim SE, Fallout Shelter, Skyrim VR. Dude, I forgot that was even a thing.
Yeah, me too, actually. I don't know if I've ever seen any gameplay of that.
Dude, I completely yapped on it. Fallout 76, Skyrim again. The core development from 2020 to 2023 saw enormous changes in our lives. A global pandemic, Robert's passing, and becoming part of Xbox. It's incredible to be at the moment where Starfield is finally launching this week. It only exists because everyone else believed as well. We've been supported for decades by everyone at ZeniMax, all doing their best work yet. Special thanks to our publishing teams who aim to create not just another release, but something that would capture the minds and inspire gamers everywhere. And to our partners at QA, who had the difficult task of testing a game where anything can and will happen. I can attest for that. And thanks to Jamie Letter and our admin HR teams who supported everyone during the most challenging years of any of us have faced. Of course, there is Phil Spencer. His support of every game and every player has been unwavering and fierce. Joining Xbox brought us closer to so many we had worked with over the 20 years. I cannot imagine a better place to create games where the diversity of studios, creators, and games are allowed to flourish. This support came from the entire Xbox leadership team in all areas of publishing and dev support. Special thanks to the magicians at ATG whose spells and incantations helped make this our best performing game. Most importantly, the team and I worked with Bethesda Game Studios. It's an incredible blessing to be supported by so many talented and inspirational people every day. Moments like this make you reflect back. Some of us have been together for decades, some joined more recently, but everyone has the same passion. I could not be prouder of their continued dedication to support something truly special. Lastly, a huge thanks to all of you within the Xbox and Bethesda family. Your enthusiasm and encouragement have meant the world to us. Creating this game has been one of the most challenging and thrilling experiences of our careers, a journey we'll never forget. And as we come to the end of this chapter, we pass it along to you. Each of you is receiving the game with early access and can begin playing this Friday, September 1st. But since one global time, you can actually play Thursday evening. Thanks, New Zealand. That is the thing.
A bit of an acknowledgement there.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a bit of a thank you, and here we go from Todd Howard. Scott, what are your thoughts?
I like that it's a little bit lighthearted. You can kind of read the joy in Todd Howard's words here, where it's not serious and buckling down on anybody. It's all very celebratory, and I think that's the right thing to do. This is Bethesda, after all, they're in the pantheon of game development, although still riddled with bugs. As far as I understand, they'll never drop that. But
it's funny. Well, that's what I said. Check out my review. There's a lot. That's our biggest review in ITG history. Like, that's how big this game is. We are far from finished. There's still a lot to unpack and discover. So that will be, I think, in discussions for quite some time with here and everybody around the world, honestly, at this point. But it was nice to see a little bit of a thank you coming from Todd, right? To the top, who appreciates everything that has brought Starfield to where it is. I think that's a special moment that you only get to live once when you release the game. The idea is to release the game in the best state possible. And, well, we'll talk about that in the review, Scott, because there's a lot to unpack. It's just, dude, the hype, anticipation, not only from the fans, but from the developers themselves. Phil Spencer's got to be pretty excited where they're at, right? Todd Howard's got to be over the moon. Nailed it. When it comes to releasing the launch of Starfield. The good part is that there's no online to worry about, right? The game is done. Just ship out the game and let it go. That's the exciting part. They don't have to worry about, okay, man, the infrastructure, the online component is not working. Dude, GTA, one of the biggest games of all time, launches online, is busted. So we don't have to worry about that here. Dude, I'm hoping that everybody over at Bethesda gets to sit back, put their feet up, take a break, and enjoy the pleasures of everybody's experiences that are about to just flood their inbox today, right? Like, that's the biggest thing. Enjoy the moment. And I think that's kind of what Todd is saying as a thank you. Now it's on to the gamers. Enjoy. And I'm telling you, dude, I got goosebumps right now just thinking about the game. Well, I do know. I do know a lot at this point with my 60-hour playtime, which is still just the beginning.
Well, this reads a lot nicer than an apology based on a launch.
Yes.
And I really hope that I hope this is an indication of everything kind of going to market properly.
Yep. Dude, and don't forget too, there's DLC on the way. Oh man.
I don't think it's gonna end ever.
Nope. Like, we're just gonna be constantly going and exploring and finding new things. And that was one of the things I touched on the most, is opportunity within Starfield. It feels endless. And that's exciting. And I think what Todd and the team over there has built is just so exciting to see what the future now lies and to see where it actually lands for Xbox. Xbox needs a win. Dude, this might just be it. Scott, topic number 2 is a hot one. Dude, oh man, get ready, because we're about to go on a journey. Beyond Good and Evil 2 20th Anniversary Edition leaked by ESRB for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and I'm sure the Xbox Series consoles. This is Michael Hardens over at PSU. The ESRB has posted a rating for the as yet unannounced Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition, which is listed for PS5, PS4, PC, Nintendo Switch, and the Xbox Series X and S. Ubisoft hasn't announced anything about re-releasing the cult classic 2003. I'm gonna say 2003 title. I'm so used to saying 2020 or 2022 or something like this. Yeah, 2003 title for the 20th anniversary yet, but the ESRB is usually spot on when it comes to outing games ahead of the official reveal. For now, here's the accompanying production description. This is an action-adventure game in which players assume the role of a reporter accompanied by a pig-like companion investigating a conspiracy on the planet of Hellas. Dude, I don't even want to read on.
I'm really trying to remember his name.
Oh, dude, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's been so
long,
right?
It's there, but
yeah. Okay, all right. What are your thoughts on, dude? First of all, why are we getting a 20th anniversary edition and not Beyond Good and Evil 2?
I'm hoping, I'm wondering and hoping if this is just a test is there still a hunger for number 2? Should we really buckle down and put resources behind it? Because for the last, what felt like 20 years, they've kind of had one foot in, one foot out when it comes to development.
Yep. Paige.
I'm hoping this inspires
Is that it?
Paige, okay.
Right. Yeah. Man, I'm baffled. But like, this was probably announced back in 2003. This is Beyond Good and Evil, fantastic game. I played it. I was there on day one, and I was all in. I had a great time. And then we saw what the potential of the sequel could be. And then it's been ghosted. This is just such a weird maneuver that we're still waiting on whatever stands for Beyond Good and Evil 2, and we're getting the 20th anniversary edition instead. Dude, kind of reminds me of Prince of Persia, the remake, and yet they shelved it for now to try and fix all that, right? I'm worried that the resources are getting put in spots just to make a little bit of money and not focus on what's new, what's coming around, and what we should be actually playing instead.
Part of the little bit of the rebuild operation that Ubisoft is doing, kind of putting little bits here and there. I can see that. But if it comes in with a new coat of paint, I didn't play it myself until maybe 2018.
Wow, okay.
2019, quite late, yeah. But that was on the Xbox ecosystem. And that's what allowed me to get in and play. So I'm hoping this one would also come to Game Pass would be ideal. But in any case, coming out again, I'll play it again.
Okay, it says it is a cult classic, right? Like it had a following, and then years later is when it really kind of exploded. It was weird to see. It was kind of like Among Us. You know, Among Us had been out for years, and then all of a sudden, everybody caught on to like, hey, where was this game been? That was Beyond Good and Evil for a lot of people. Like you saw, 2018, right? Do we get a port, a remake, a remaster? Where do you think this is going to actually lie? Do they build this from the ground up and get us ready for the sequel? Is that what this is leading to? Oh,
I'm really hoping that's the case, because it was ported already before. It's already on the Xbox as a port. So I think this is indeed something new.
Yeah,
fresh.
I don't want a new coat of paint. I want this rebuilt, right? Kind of how we're getting Metal Gear Solid Delta, in a sense.
Oh,
let's do that. I know.
I think what you mean to say is that you just want number 2.
No, it's definitely what I want. There's no secret there. I definitely want the sequel. Where is it, Ubisoft? Because we've been waiting for so long to hear anything on that at all. Like, that was the case of announced too early, right? Like, that's where that lies. So we'll see. I'm definitely curious to see what position this lines up. If we're getting on current gen consoles, last gen consoles, and the Switch, how polished, how fresh does this look? Is it just a reskin? Is it just a coat of paint? Or if they really truly cared, Scott, they should go from the ground up, remake the entire game, bring it to today's standards, and then get us ready to launch into the sequel. Get everybody who hasn't played it familiar with Jade, the characters over here, with Beyond Good and Evil, and then get us going, hey, by the way, here comes the sequel. And I'm like, man, what a year that would line up. When you do we get this year, Scott, or we get it next year?
I'm not sure. I can't recall the actual turnaround on an ESBR or ESRB rating. I'm not sure if that would indicate exactly this year, but it has to be within 1 year.
Yeah, well, I think we're getting it sooner than later. I don't know if we'll see it this year or early next year. Right now, for Ubisoft, you take a look at their lineup, right? We get the Crew, Motorsport, Motorfest. Yeah, I say Motorsport because of Forza. So we get the Crew, it's coming out in September. We've got Assassin's Creed Mirage in October, and then we have Avatar in December. For the next 3 games, we're getting a Ubisoft title. Not bad. And then on top of that, you kick into January, then we're supposed to get that new 2D side-scrolling Prince of Persia game. So for the next 4 months, dude, we're getting fresh Ubisoft titles. Can they drop this February, maybe?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe 6 months to the second half of 1 year. I think that makes a lot of sense. That's possible. Unless we get a shadow drop and it's September.
Oh, please don't do that. Please don't do that. I don't know. Dude, a part of me is kind of excited now. I've come around on this full circle in this whole like little discussion. Yo, Beyond Good and Evil, bring it back. Or just give me the sequel. Scott, Sony fans are in an uproar, and I don't blame them one bit. Sony is raising the PlayStation Plus prices up to $40 per year. Yo, this gets expensive now. This is like, it was already at a decently high price. Now this is just ridiculous. This is the Verge, Alex Castro over here. Sony is raising the price of its PlayStation Plus subscription next month. The service's annual essential plan will go from $60 to $80. The extra plan from $100 to $135, and the premium plan from $120 to $160. The new pricing goes up effective starting September 6th. You know what, Sony? Like, this is not called for. I'm not impressed. As a fan of the platform, dude, I love PlayStation. At the end of the day, honestly, I just love gaming. But you need these services. Granted, I no longer need the top service, and because you're upping the price, you can stick your price. And I'm not playing it, dude. I'm not doing this. Will go to the essential plan, and I will stay at the bottom. Just let me play online and don't do anything else. This is not necessary, man. You can't tell me the cost of living and all that kind of stuff plays into effect with this. You're already making a boatload of money. You're about to launch Spider-Man 2, which is going to bring in a ton of money again. To up the price of this, yo, this isn't cool at all.
Interesting date to release this as well, on the 6th. A big release date. I wonder what caused them to pick that day in particular, but this is worth noting. This is American dollars too, so we're looking at a little bit different of a breakdown in Canada.
Yep.
But I think the translation ends up being the PlayStation Plus Essentials was, I think, about $108.
Right.
Which is quite an increase from what I understand. I'm not a customer myself. I still want a PlayStation, but don't have one yet. But this is not exactly welcoming.
No, this is not welcoming to anybody, honestly. So here's where we're at currently with the Canadian Transfer Edition, right? So when you go from 160 US dollars, it's $216 Canadian, Scott.
Oh.
I'm not going to pay $200 for an online service from PlayStation. I get what it gets me, but I find that absolutely absurd to pay for. This is ridiculous, man. This is uncalled for.
There's of course everybody's gonna look at the other side of the coin, the Xbox. If there was a Game Pass service, a similar service on PlayStation, do you think that would justify this increase, or is it still too much in your opinion?
Dude, this is just too much. You're over $200. $200. Like, come on. The console is enough already. We get into your system, then we got to pay to get online, right? And I'm okay. I get understand it, and I get the perks that we get with it. But then all of a sudden, now you want me to pay over $200 for your top premium tier? Not gonna happen. For some old games, dude, so I can stream. Like, there's
on that topic specifically, when it comes to Nintendo, that's where I'll get really annoyed and angry, because Nintendo online services do not offer enough, in my opinion. But given the trend that we're seeing here, I can expect them to turn up the price as well.
Yeah,
there is an element of truth behind that, because the inflation, essentially.
I'm glad I just renewed my service. Honestly, on PlayStation, it just kicked in, it auto renewed, and then next year I'm going with the essential plan. I am not paying $200. That is absolutely absurd. I think they're out to lunch. I think PlayStation needs to take a look at this and realize the ramifications that it's going to take on their customers, and we shouldn't be paying this price. I think this is ridiculous, dude. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. Scott just announces the complete Borderlands collection, the third game also coming to the Switch. Tom Ivan over at VGC. Borderlands collection, Pandora's Box is coming to the Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, PS5, and PC via Steam on September 1st, because there isn't enough to play on September. Man, oh man. Well, Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition for Nintendo Switch will follow on October 6th. The former includes all 6 Borderlands games. Ready? Borderlands, Borderlands 2, Borderlands the pre-sequel, Tales from the Borderlands, which is absolutely fantastic. Everybody should play that regardless. Borderlands 3, and New Tales for the Borderlands, which I have not played, and I have no idea if that's good. I've heard mixed reactions on that one. Plus, all the DLC, Scott. The digital only...
That's a huge amount.
Dude, that's massive. But the digital only collection has a suggested retail price of $150.
Oh, that does make sense. Think about how many games that is.
Absolutely. But 2K says it will be available for a discounted price of only $60 for a limited time. So if you haven't played any of the Borderlands or you're missing some of them, this might be the time to jump in. Scott, have you played some Borderlands?
Yeah, I'm missing the Tales from games, and number 3 I didn't play much of. It was part of the cursed summer for me. I don't remember much, but I need to play it some more.
Borderlands has never really been my game, and then Tales from the Borderlands, because it was a Telltale game, dude, hooked me. I was all in on that one, but it's much different than what we're normally used to when it comes to the Borderlands. But there it is, everybody. You can check it out. Let us know. You gonna play it? Scott, the list keeps growing, man. There's so many games out today. What are we playing?
Yeah, it's surprising. We're not in September yet, but you wouldn't be able to tell based on the amount. We have The Big Con. That's on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One and X, and PC. Ooh, that is spelled OU, is on PC and Switch. How to Escape, PC, Xbox One, XS, PS4 and 5, and the Switch. Somerville makes its way to PlayStation now on the PS4 and 5. Trine 5 comes out PC, PS4, 5, Xbox One, X, and the Switch. Deceit 2 on PC. Tenebri Pictura on PC, PS4, 5, Xbox One, and X. The Shape of Things on PC and Switch. And finally, The Fisherman's Tale is out now on PlayStation VR 2.
Dude, what a list today. Trine 5, where did that... Dude, that just came out of nowhere. I've been looking for that game.
It's one of your old favorites.
Dude, I love Trine. The Trine series is fantastic. But to see that one just kind of drop today, I was like, oh no. Completely missed
Surprise.
it. Oh man, I'm jumping on it. I gotta go buy it now.
This is extraordinary.
And disconcerting.
We're too late. The villains are already here.
Knight! Seize them!
Well, that'll be it for today. There's so much to talk about as always. Thank you for hanging out with us and joining us through ITG Daily, where we bring you the hottest in gaming news each and every day. Don't forget, go check out our review of Starfield. It is up right now over on our YouTube and our website. Don't miss that out. Man, there's so much to talk about, Scott. I can't wait for you to dive in. But until tomorrow, we'll be back then. I'm Drew. That's Scott.
And we'll see you inside the game.
Joseph Pasek, and welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live. Welcome to TFC Goal Line with the coach, Carmen Asako. Let's get to it. Carm, I don't know if this surprised anybody, but if you're a coach of a national team, Team Canada, who's made the World Cup in the first time in 36 years, you could see progression finally, and then you quit to join an MLS club who, is having a terrible year this year. But why? Herdman. We're talking about Herdman quitting Team Canada for TFC job. So there's questions abound here.
Yeah, lots of questions, lots of narratives. I do think that both parties are okay with it. I mean, I know that there was a kind of a little bit of a, we'll call it disputes between CSA and John Herdman on what was happening, and I just don't think that CSA is prepared to be at the standard or the level that John expects all the time. And they've part of his expectation and part of his standard is probably what led them to where they are right now, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a good thing, but yeah, they are in a bit of a bind, and right now financially. But right now, I think John made a career choice. I think that he realizes that the CSA and CSB aren't necessarily the best fits for him right now, and he had a great organization who needs help, and he's been kind of trademarked as one of those savior type people to kind of kind of dying organizations, and so I think that they're looking to be the savior and then go from there.
All right, so that we'll get to TFC in a couple seconds, but that leaves Canada, the country of Canada, with a big hole. And I know what you're going to say here, so sit back.
Well, Mauro Biello Biello is the interim coach, and he's got a lot of experience, whether it be national programs, national team. I think the transition's good. I think that the players will be familiar with a lot of what he does, what he's going to do, and and he's familiar with the pro game as well. It was an MLS coach. I think it's a good transition. I think they may even look at Biello as a permanent coach for the national team.
So let's get to it. Who would forget about you getting the job? Because in my opinion, I'm biased. You should get this job. But if you don't get this job, who would you hire as the head coach of Team Canada?
Well, I mean, if I'm looking at everything that's going on in 2026, I think that they will make a big splash, unless Morrow, which I totally anticipate he will meet all expectations. But I think they're going to make a big splash, and I think that the name that everyone's talking about is Carlo Ancelotti. I'm not sure. His wife's from Vancouver. He loves the country. His name's been tossed around a few times. I think his relationship with CSA when Victor was there, I think Victor's still going to be an influential presence in this whole selection process, even though now he's with CONCACAF and with FIFA. Victor, I think Carlo Ancelotti would be the one person that would definitely make a lot of sense.
So, do you think he takes it?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's ready for the challenges, and Ancelotti's never one that kind of shies from challenges. He's also been, probably one of the greatest coaches ever to coach Real Madrid. But don't forget that he's had great teams in Italy. He's took on an Everton team that wasn't a slam dunk and did miracles with that group as well. So I think that Canada, and maybe kind of making his wife happy by getting back to Vancouver would be definitely a carrot. But I think he'd do a fantastic job with this group.
So now it may be a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it. So let's say he gets the job, Ancelotti gets the job. If Ancelotti is the coach, and let's say Herdman did not leave, would Ancelotti do a better job than Herdman?
Talking apples and oranges right here. So, are you trying to compare coaches? There's no comparison.
No, it's maybe it's suggesting the skies that Herdman took the TFC job, and this guy could get the Team Canada. For me, like, you're the coach, okay? Your goal is to teach kids, okay? Your goal is Herdman was on top of the world here. He's the national team coach, okay? Is this a step down when going from a national team coach to an MLS coach?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's all, what you want to do. The day-to-day is something that every coach wants to do, and you want to impart the tactical and the physical and the psychological impact that you can make on a day-to-day basis all the time. And the national team, obviously, this is kind of a statement as well by Herdman saying, I want to get out of here. I think he's making it his statement. And to be honest, I'm not sure the CSA is 1,000% upset. He had a contract till 2026, probably a lucrative contract. And I think that both parties, it may be time to move on. It was time to move on. Do I think Herdman needs a challenge of every day? And I think, will he meet this challenge? Yeah. But I just think it's more of a statement. Again, John Herdman saying that he doesn't want to deal with the dysfunction anymore, and the CSA saying, hey, we don't want the dysfunction anymore, and we want to kind of start with a clean slate and kind of go from there.
All right, so I'm going to ask the obvious question. You're here. I know the answer. I know you're going to not shy away or whatever. If given the chance to be the national team coach, would you jump at that?
I mean, Joel, a lot of people kind of belittle the fact, but the reality is me and my acquaintances have worked with that whole team many times, whether it was, with the national team or with the Pan Am Games or with the U20s. Worked with a lot, or with the club system, or with whatever system it was. There's a lot of players that we're familiar with. If given the opportunity to help a hand, like I have in the past, yes, Joe, I would. Joe, I'll answer your question, and a lot of people are going to impart their opinion on the silliness of that statement. But if they do their homework, they'll see that, me and my acquaintances and the people that we've worked a lot with a lot of players in this group, and I think.
We have a technical difficulty. Come in and come out. Go out and come in. I can't hear you again. That's Carmen Asako here on TFC Goal Line. Of course, John Herdman stepping down as Team Canada national team coach to take the job as head coach of Toronto FC. Toronto FC winning last night 3-1 right there and BMO Field. So a good victory for Toronto. But let's get back to Carmen here. Carmen, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
So moving forward, me and my staff or whatever we've done for this to help this program in the past, whether it was the U20s or the Pan Ams or the Olympic teams. But you know what? We would gladly be there for our country, 1,000%.
So far you're doing good. Maybe you feel bad because last week I had a disaster, but I'm going to ask you more here. Okay. Would you be upset if your phone didn't ring for at least a phone call or an interview for the national team coach?
I don't anticipate it will. I think that they're going to go heavy and hard. I think they have the right guy in place already. I think Maro's going to prove himself. I think he's been a very good manager as well as coach and teacher, and I think that his experience will bring Canada to obviously the qualifying for the Copa Sudamerica. That's what their goal is through this Nations League. So I think that's something that they have, a carrot at the end of the tunnel. And tomorrow, as I know the guy, as I know him, being a friend, I consider him a friend. I think that he won't focus on what they don't have, like it's been done in the past, and focus more on what they do have. I hope that's the mentality that they take. Frankly, our community was getting a little bit tired of the CSA bashing and focusing on the negativity rather than focusing on the positive stuff. So I think Maro will take that perspective, and excuses are excuses at times, but are valid at times, but it's no need to cloud the reality, or everyone knows the reality, and I think that Maro will affect change in the positive versus mentality of we don't have this, we don't have that.
All right, so let's get to TFC now. TFC bringing in Herdman. They needed a change, put it this way. And right now, he's probably the best coach available for systematic change, okay? Okay, you changed the coach. Great. And you got a good coach. Let's face it, he's a good coach. But systematically, you have a problem with your players. How fast do you think he could turn around? Because it has to be his players. How fast do you think the turnaround could happen? Yes, they win a game last night, 3-1. Kudos that here at BMO Field. That's great. They got 2 weeks off for him to, put in his system. I think the next game they play Vancouver, September 16th here. So how fast do you think the turnaround for Toronto FC could happen with Herdman as the coach?
Well, I mean, I think his contract starts October 1st. I think that's an important time to observe for him. I think it's an important time to understand the dynamics both on and off the field. By the way, congratulations to Terry Dunfield getting his first MLS win as a head coach. And you know what? They did it in a very convincing fashion, not only in result but in performance. So good for him. I don't want to belittle the fact that it's maybe because they announced a new manager, but I think that he did a good job in managing that game. And congratulations again to Terry. against the Philadelphia team, who's supposed to be one of the top teams in the East, if not the top team in the East. Last year, going to MLS Cup final. So, in saying that, Joe, that answers your question. They have the ability to do what they did last night against one of the top teams in the East, probably in all of MLS. So, yeah, the turnaround shouldn't be that bad. Do they have places where they need to fix things? Absolutely. Are they going to look? I mean, is John Herdman going to look into the MLS to fix those things? Probably not. Probably doesn't have those solutions right now. Is Bill Manning obviously still involved in that whole process? I do believe so. I do believe so. I think that in the hiring of John Herdman, it's kind of Bill Manning's last card to be played. So now he's got to get it right in those positions. And I don't think that he'll give up on the Italians. I think John Herdman will love that challenge to bring Bernardeschi and Insigne to that next level. And he's got to work on that back. He's got to work on the back four or back three or whatever else, however he wants to work it. And, there's also questions in goal, and there's also questions, all that stuff as well. So, so there's a lot of questions, but, after that performance last night, people expect to turn around almost immediately. And add a few players, this team's not far away. I mean, if you look down the roster, a lot of the key players that were part of that I would say, dominating, one of the highest points getting Toronto FC teams are still around. Bradley and the Osos, obviously that was a different era, and maybe I am wrong. There's not many players around, but the leadership part of that is still around.
All right. So as we close out here at TFC Goal Line with the coach, Carmen Asako here. Carm, let's look again to, we'll touch some of TFC and all that, but let's look again for Team Canada here. All right. We don't have a coach. We speculation and all that. How much, we're 2.5 years away from the World Cup here, but in North America, in Canada, US, and Mexico. Do you think that has a great effect, or do you think by 2024-25 we're going to have a coach? It doesn't matter right now.
Well, like I said, I think Mauro Biello's kind of sample size will come in this Nations League and qualifying for the Copa Sudamerica, and I think that'll be important. And I think, like I said, he has the ability, the integrity to do a very good job at that with the national team. But do I think that if there's any, I think that Canada will look, and there'll be big coaches that will want to take over a very young, energetic, lots of quality type team. And when you look down the roster with obviously Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David and Larin and Eustachio, and you've got world-class players to work with there. And not to say that you have Dane Sinclairs and the Kamal Millers that probably will be in Europe moving forward. But the point is that a lot of big time coaches are going to look at that group and say, "Wow, I want to be there. I want to be on that stage." And I think coaches like Carlo Ancelotti and other coaches have already inquired about that. So yes, I do think that Mauro Biello will be given an opportunity, and the sample size will come in this Nations League window and qualifying for the South American Cup. But I do think that they're going to look for a heavy hitter, and everyone, and it's going to be the Carlo Ancelotti ilk, type manager, and it may be just, I think a lot of big managers will be chomping at the bit to get to work with this group.
All right. Well, if anybody in Team Canada is watching this show, and I know millions are, this is the guy you're supposed to hire. All right. This is the guy you're supposed to hire. Carmen, and by the way, if Carmen, you sign a big deal, come on. Okay. All right. You don't have to. Okay. But you can check more of Carmen out tomorrow on the Soccer Show with Carmen's good friend. Yes, Giancarlo Lino, but his good, close personal friend, Hall of Famer John Freeman Nelson of OSG Sports in Atlanta on the Soccer Show. Any last comments, Carm? No. All right. So again, for Carmen Asako, Stay tuned for more great programming here on the Fired Up Network.
Every once in a while, there's a game that takes the space by storm. The anticipation level is super high. And this week, finally, I get to talk about my time with Starfield. I'm the one from the team who's been hands-on for Starfield. Everybody else is kind of waiting to play. We'll be getting a little bit further into that later on. But dude, the anticipation behind this, everybody's over it, right? Everybody wants to get on there. The questions are everywhere. Leaks, all kinds of stuff. We're approaching this review a little bit differently. Normally we have two hands on when it comes to our reviews. This time around, it's just me. I pulled Scott in because, Scott, I want to tell you about my experience, but I also know you have a ton of questions to ask along the way. So let's dive in and break it down. Here's what I've started with. Everybody knows the premise to Starfield, right? You get in there, you join the Constellation because you found an artifact. And that artifact is some alien tech that has multiple pieces to it, and you're gonna go out there with the Constellation and discover the meaning of life. That's basically about it. On a very small scale of this game, dude. Here's where I'm at. I set up my character, I touched the artifact. This is where you get handed the tablet. We've all seen it in the trailer, right? Now you build out your character. From there, you go in, you pick your background. I picked my background. I made so many notes. This is insane. I went with the cyber runner side of things, which then gave me starting skills in the world of stealth, which, granted, I'm a big stealth fan, right? We'll talk about that. Security, which then takes me into hacking and things like that, and theft. I'm like, yo, this is my run right here, right? Like this is made for me.
Is that Adam Jensen?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'm right into that. And then you get your traits. So I went with an introvert. So I'm kind of a bit of a loner when it comes to playing, which is funny because I've had a companion with me almost from the very beginning of the game. It hasn't really worked out well for me. Yeah, a neon street rat. So I came from like the lower level and worked my way into this crowd. And then a taskmaster. When I was handed the tablet, Scott, I created my character. Bethesda's touched on how much is in here, right? I spent, by the time I picked my traits, picked my background, customized my character to make Kalani my character, I was an hour and a half into the game.
Oh, wow.
An hour and a half in just on customizing my character, making sure that I built and designed the character that I wanted to craft to go out into the world of Starfield. We got our press release. And within it, it said, now granted, we don't normally talk about this too much, but in it, it said, dude, take your time and just enjoy, right? A lot of games on the show, what we do is we beeline the story. We go in, we dive into the story and finish it off so we know what the ending's like and then move forward. Here I am with Starfield. This is not what I wanted to do in this case, right? Because the way Starfield is set up, it is meant to explore. You are meant to go out and see what the world offers. Here's my time. Right now, I'm level 20. I have not finished the game at all. In fact, I am 3 main story missions in. And I have played for 60 hours, Scott. So,
a bit of a slow burn, that one.
Right? I barely touched the main campaign, but I fell down a rabbit hole of faction quests, side quests, and activities. This is basically the main premise. You have the main, the factions, the miscellaneous, which is like your side quests, and then these activities. The activities are like, you have like 10, 15 minutes, jump in, go do an activity. Maybe you have to go talk to somebody. Maybe you have to go visit, like I had to go to Planet Earth and then grab something over in London. Grab that and take off. That was it, right? Activities are meant to be really kind of just short bursts. The main campaign takes you on a whole journey, obviously. The faction quest, I fell down a hole, Scott, when it came to playing this, because what happened was I'm running around New Atlantis, and if you know a Bethesda game, stealing is an option, but it's not warranted if you get caught. Oh, I got caught. So, but this setup, I was in a restaurant. I go over, and I'm like, oh, there's some food here. Nobody's around. Snatch the food. Somebody saw me. Instantly, I got caught. I got hauled off to jail. From here, I got set up to either pay my fee or work with this organization to be a mole within another organization. And I was like, yo, I'm a mole. Let's go. So I fall into this rabbit hole of faction quests, dude. 50 hours go by as I'm doing the faction missions for the Crimson Fleet. That's where it was. That's where I am. And I'm telling you, what a journey. The faction quests alone could have been its own game, Scott. That's how big that was, right? Like, it was incredible to be a part of that experience. And this is what Starfield offers the best, is opportunities, right? You have the main game, which I said, I'm 3rd mission in. But then I fell down this rabbit hole of other things. And as I'm going in to do these missions for the faction quest, I'm in like the low, dude, I went to Neon. So here I am making my return to my homeland, more or less, with the Neon Street Rat trait. And as I'm walking through there, I'm picking up on conversations. And as conversations pop up, all of a sudden new quests start popping up. Well, maybe you should go check out so-and-so because they overheard this. And it just sets you up further on to continue on with other options that just take you off your main objective for that opportunity. Starfield has been an incredible journey. I am far from finished, as I said. There's a lot still to do. There's other factions I have yet to even interact with. And then the solar system is vast, it is massive, but it's not without its problems, Scott.
Oh, I have a question about the interaction with your time in the street.
Yeah.
Does anybody treat you differently because you're a Neon Street Rat, or some of your skills that got you, well, clearly not so gifted in stealth or theft, that is, but did that have an influence on who talked to you within that jail? I'm wondering if you're a rough and tumble kind of guy, is that going to be a different outcome than if I was the pencil neck kind of casual?
No, so I didn't see that experience per se, but what I did have was, because I joined the Crimson Fleet, as I'm out there and I'm talking to someone for information, they weren't giving me the information. And I have my Persuade up there, right? So I focused on, within getting into the skill tree itself. Skill tree is massive. Dude, I'm still on level 1, and you have to unlock each level to then drop to the next tier and to the next tier. So I've started on to level 2. That's what I said. 60 hours in, I'm just opening up tier 2 within the skill tree, because when you unlock one skill, there is then 4 other levels within that skill. So there's a lot to kind of unpack. So I've focused heavily into my persuasion opportunities there and the social side of stuff. So as I'm working on persuading this contact who's not giving me the information that I'm after, I said, well, give it to me because I'm part of the Crimson Fleet. And then her whole demeanor changed. And all of a sudden she's like, whoa, because Crimson Fleet is pirates. We are the pirates, dude. I am the wrong side of the law now, and I'm having a blast doing it. I have this over sense of power, in a sense, going into these conversations, going, if you don't like it, I'm telling you who I work with, and if you don't like that, now you're just dead, right? Because they get that fear. They are known across the galaxy as one of the pirates not to mess with, which has then opened up other opportunities, because as you go out and explore, you come across these abandoned outposts. Dude, I came into one outpost, and one was full of these like crab-like creatures that wiped out all the scientists around. I'm like, this is a whole farming situation here, and you just go in to explore to find what you can, you know, come across, loot everything. I mean, like, dude, if you could pick it up, because you can then sell it. And this is where I'm currently sitting at, like, almost 500,000 credits. If you don't have cash, they call it credits within the game. It's like an online currency in a sense. So as I'm going through the world, I'm literally picking up everything. Granted, there's a weight issue as well, right? There is this.
Yeah, that is. Welcome to a Bethesda game.
Yeah.
Every Bethesda game I've ever played, I carry all the cups and forks and spoons until I get to a high level, but that's just the way it is. I'm wondering now, because you're faced with the options of being a pirate, kind of loops into the more social questions I have. Is there a good, bad kind of charisma level, is what it would be called in Fallout? There's things that are objectively bad. If you're a murderer, for example, people will generally take you differently, and that's what I'm very curious of.
Yeah, so I have, like, there's no bar, right? Like, there's no bar to say which side of you're on at all. It is more of a, with my companion as an example, because I went with the Crimson Fleet, she actually pulled me aside and said, hey, I don't approve of this. I don't like this at all, but because we're working together to get the artifact, I'm going to stick around. But she definitely does not like my decisions, and I thought that kind of played in a little bit. You'll see little things pop up in the corner. So and so didn't approve of this, so and so didn't approve of that, right? So you have those little things, but there is no meter that you're kind of going, okay, what side am I on right now? It is more of a, here's my direction, and we'll see what the consequences arise from this. So when I went on my final destination, she came out and pulled me aside and said, I don't approve. Man, she was mad. Like, you could actually see it in her face too, that she was, it was, dude, it was, here I am, I'm on a moon, and she goes, I need to talk to you. I'm like, all right, let's see what this is about. And she goes, I don't approve of this. And she just kind of laid into me a little bit. I was like, I kind of laughed because this is really cool, is it, to experience that she is not happy. We've seen in other games, right, where you get choices of morality play into effect and how that kind of comes across. But this was more, it felt more realistic to say that, hey, I just didn't like your decision to do this. And then later on, as I'm shooting down, like, essentially what the good guys are, she pipes up again. Dude, she's not happy with me right now. I'm telling you. I don't know if I'll be able to persuade her to come around at all, but, or if I just do some other good things. Now, I've done other good things in the past, too, within the game. When you go from system to system, so basically what happens is you have a moon or a planet, but you go to that planet's system, and then that opens up a bunch of other planets. Here's the problem. This is not, Starfield is not No Man's Sky, right? It is not that. There is, in No Man's Sky, you jump into your ship and you fly away. You can fly over the planet, then you fly out in the system, and you fly into another planet. Starfield is littered with load screens. Yeah, this is where I was dude, I was surprised. I was very surprised. You cannot fly around the planet. You literally hop in your ship. You say you want to go to another space. You go to another system, which goes to a cutscene. First of all, to get into your ship is a cutscene. Dude, I can't open the door and just walk in. I open the door, it goes to a cutscene, then I go into my ship, then I go select what system I want to go to next, or a planet. Then I basically go to another cutscene, go into that system, and then select a planet, go where I want to land, go to another cutscene that lands me, and then I can get out of it, which then goes to another, like, dude, it's just cutscene. I was like, oh.
So that sounds more like a menu system for a fast travel system, not
Absolutely.
just getting into an airplane and taking off.
No, it is. That's exactly what it is. But there are moments, though, that because these planets are so big, I would have loved to have been able to fly around the planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would have been very, very nice to have that. There are other issues with the game. As much as I love everything I'm experiencing, there are definitely some other problems. Combat is a problem. Stealth is a problem. Dude, stealth? This isn't... I'm walking around with a shotgun most of the time. But even though I'm focusing on stealth and I'm trying to play that way, you can crouch, but that's basically about it. They give you other pathways around your objective, but where I've been so far is just this giant vent that you can literally stand in, go through it, pop out the other side to go up a staircase. I'm just walking around the people. This is basically kind of how I've seen it so far as my 60-hour experience. You have in your skill tree, you unlock a skill, and then you need to upgrade that skill. So then I gotta take out so many people as a stealth player in that genre to get up to that next skill unlock, right? I have to do that 5 times. Sneak up behind someone, take him out. The problem is, man, when you take it, there isn't an option to do like a stealth kill. That would have been perfect. Nothing. You just walk up and you stab them with your knife. So you're like this, and I'm like, they just turn around and start shooting me. And I've taken out a couple people stealthily, but it hasn't been easy. And then when you get into the gunplay, now granted, I have not focused on my guns when it comes to the skill tree because I've gone very heavy on the social side, and I've gone with the stealth stuff and some security things where I help dude, I have cracked so many locks, and now I've already gone to the master and the expert level that I focused heavily on that because there's a ton of loot in there, and I want that loot, and I want access to some of these doors, these rooms, and the security systems, and then to get into that stuff. There's just so much to unravel, so much to unpack. But the gameplay for the gun is weak. It really is rather weak. They could, once I start upgrading, I'm sure it's going to feel a little bit better. There is no cover system, Scott. So,
okay.
Dude, as I'm shrunk down behind this railing, my assault rifle is picking off the railing and not shooting the targets who are hitting me in the head from the other side.
No.
Right? So all of a sudden, I'm dead. I look to my left, my companion is hugged into the corner of the wall. I'm like, how do they get cover? But here I am, wide open. The only way I can shoot people across the room is to actually stand up. And it's just like,
Well, thinking about stealth, and I joke about Adam Jensen being your character, but
Yeah.
which is just not true. But is there melee weapons that would maybe accompany the stealth better?
so there is a knife, right? You can bring a knife with you. I've got a shiv, more or less, or I can get right into a knife, or I can get into a katana. So I have a big sword, and I'm hacking up things like this, that, and the other. But when you're trying to play stealth, dude, I just want to be able to like chokehold, take him out, sleep him. Like maybe I don't have to kill anybody at all, right? And or go up and then just a simple prompt of a button to take somebody else in a stealth essence and slit their throat, kill them out, shiv them to the side, whatever you got to do your stealth kill to be able to move on would be good. And then to take the character away, hide the body, right? There's none of that. Like stealth almost feels like an afterthought.
Oh, that is a little bit disappointing for myself. Of course, I haven't gotten into it yet to see it for my own eyes, but I really like stealth. That's no secret.
No, absolutely. We talk about Bethesda a lot on the show, and we talk about how we always worry about the Bethesda jank.
Oh, yeah.
Scott, welcome to another Bethesda game. So,
Oh,
here's the other issue. Dude, I am pretty early into the game, maybe an hour and a half into the game, and you meet the Constellation. You get set up, you're at their home of operation, the HQ, what they call the Lodge. You get a room within the Lodge. I go to my room. I open up the door. The door glitches me, shimmers, shakes, and pushes me into a corner that I can no longer get out of. And I'm stuck in a corner behind a door, and this, I'm pretty sure it was like an end table or something, and I couldn't even move. There's been numerous times I've been caught on stuff, stuck in a wall, and I was just like, how, at this stage of the game, does a door become the biggest glitch in the game? And it's a little irritating to try and get through. Granted, man, not every door is like that. Some doors open to the side and they just kind of like vacuum away kind of thing. It's actually some pretty cool stuff in here. At the end of the day though, Scott, when it comes to the final product of Starfield, I think people are going to be blown away. Granted, you know what you're getting into when you get into a Bethesda game, and I've seen a lot of stuff online talk about the jank and stuff. Man, I've experienced a lot of glitches. I shot somebody, their gun flew across the space and just twirled this whole time. And it just flies. I'm like, where is that going? I go to pick up loot, I hover over top of a body. You know, I'm just like, man, there's so many little things that just kind of take you out of the experience that could have been not there at all, which you don't experience in other games, I guess is really what it comes down to, right? I get the sheer scope of the game, and I appreciate what it is, but there's just some elements to it that just the stealth alone doesn't work. The combat isn't the greatest, but when you get into the social side where I'm really focused on, dude, I talked myself out of some incredible situations, walked away from the fight, got what I needed, and be able to move on to the next one, or persuade people into giving me the information that I needed, or I've helped people in the past on stuff, didn't ask for a reward, just kind of went on my way. I jumped from one system into the next system, dude, they're there. And they're like, oh my God, who's this? Oh, no, it's okay. Don't worry about them. They helped us in the past. Let's just move on.
I really like that.
Oh, so cool. The opportunities that keep popping up. The more and more I play, other opportunities keep popping up that take me away from the story because they're so interesting that I want to know what else is going on.
Well, that kind of brings up a topic of how do you spend your time? If I was going to be on the game, after work, we'll say, I have 3 or 4 hours maybe before bed. Is there a sensible way of getting into this game, or am I just jumping into the ocean?
It really depends on what kind of mood you're in, because sometimes I sat down and was like, let's just see where today takes me. Right? Because there is that. You just don't know. You don't have you can do the main quest and follow that if you want, or just start going into the world and see what presents itself as opportunities. You can focus on it. Yeah, dude, it's so cool to play that way, right? And that was one of the things when they said slow down and play the game, right? Don't beeline the story, and that's obviously not what I did at all. 60 hours in, barely touched the story. Even though I'm intrigued by the story, I think the voice acting is cool and everything moves forward. But when you get back to your question, Scott, it is a matter of what do you want to do? You can craft your ship. Figuring that out took me a little bit. I find some of the setup into understanding these mechanics could have been explained a little bit more, right? Because I came across one mission where I had to attach something to my ship and I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. Reached out for a bit of help, got the help I needed, They're like, Drew, you actually need to take your cursor off the ship. And I was like, oh, because when you come in the menu, it actually starts on your ship. So as I was selecting to upgrade and change out this, that, and the other, if I would have been off my ship and more in like the blue area outside of it, it would have presented me with everything else to add in. I was like, man, oh man. And all of a sudden now, but dude, there's missile launchers, there's guns, there's cockpits to adjust, there's so many things to get into the crafting, which again, Bethesda has also stated that was much more of a later state within the game, but I'm still in there intrigued enough that, dude, there isn't a ship I own. I've owned 4 ships. I'm ready to sell one because I don't like it. But I'm changing out the colors. I'm making it feel like my ship, what my needs are, and getting into that. And it is so cool. The depth of complexity that you can get into, or you don't have to do anything at all. You just take your ship and away you go, right? It's one of those opportunities are there. But there's the ships. Dude, there's outposts. I jumped in. I'm starting to build my crew up for an outpost now. But what I found is I'm short material, so now I'm crafting, looking for stuff, looking for material. I'm going to other systems because the other systems have the material I need. Then I come back, start building and crafting in that. Like, there's just little pockets that will keep you going for hours. Or again, that's why I said activities are there that if you only have a few minutes, go do an activity, get some XP, and then find out what that experience is like. And then the next thing you know, you're like 5-6 hours deep and it's all over.
So you haven't exactly made a Frankenstein ship by the sounds of it. Is there, I'm thinking aesthetically, is there any sort of customized icons that you can make yourself? Paint up the ship however you prefer? Or is it more of just a color scheme?
It's more right now of a color scheme that I've gone with. I haven't seen any like decals in the game so far, but you can definitely swap out different designs on a lot of the items in there. I'm swapping out missiles and kind of how those guns are set up. I'm adding things to my starship. I'm changing out the cockpit in certain areas, changing out the grab drive and all this jump stuff and all the engines. But there's like a base fundamental. Dude, there's a lot under the hood when it gets into the crafting the ship that are going to take people a long time, I think, to get into and to understand. There's a lot to unpack. It is very cool, but again, if you don't want to, then you just take the ship and away you go.
Being a massive Fallout fan, part of my big concern is the social ramifications of the game. And it seems like you've explained a lot of it, but I'm wondering if there's crew members that you can pick. Is it a select roster that you can only make so many choices, or is it something where I can, if I find an NPC, can I make them my crew member? And further to that, kind of the same question in the same vein is, you've made your crew member very angry with you, your squad mate.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's any romance options. Mass Effect comes to mind.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, quickly on the romance option, there's definitely romance opportunities until I really made my crewmate mad. I think I pretty well squandered that idea now with her, so that's not going to happen, but there is opportunities there, and you see that presented. Like the flirt option comes up, right? So you're able to interact that way and grow these relationships a little bit further. I've just taken that relationship and made her really mad, so that's not going to happen. When it comes to the actual crewmates, you sign them up. Like they present you with options of, hey, you know what, I'm now no longer going to be doing this, I'm looking for opportunities. Then you present it with, you can then add that person to your crew. Granted, I've only started to do this 60 hours in. I'm just starting to build a crew. I've had Sarah Morgan right from the very beginning. That's the woman we all saw in the trailer. That's the woman you meet at Constellation in the lodge, and then I've decided to take her along with me. She's been helpful, but at another time she's been a bit of a problem. She constantly reminds me of how much loot I have. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. So here's a quick tip. If you have all that loot and you're weighed down, just dump it in your ship. Like, there's a cargo space, but your cargo space only holds so much. From there, literally just drop it on the floor and then go back to a base and sell it. Pick it all back up and then just go to the vendor and sell it all. And that will help you get some, increase that cash flow a lot more. Build up your credits, is what I was trying to say. And that'll
Can your crewmates carry things for you as well?
They can, but they're limited as well, right? So all of a sudden, because I literally go out in the world and I try to start off with as little as possible and then just grab everything along my path and then dump it off to whoever wants to kind of help me out and take it. And then when I get back to the ship, because I'm slowed down, as you progress, your meter just kind of, your stamina meter depletes really quickly, and then your vision gets blurry because you're holding too much, right? something we see in a lot of games like this. And then that's what I mean, just dump it on the ground. But yeah, when it comes, go ahead.
That brings up another question, actually. Given Fallout, the way they handle things, is there substance, perhaps substance abuse? But I'm thinking of alcohol that you can drink, and because of the blurry vision, that's what made me think of it.
I haven't seen anything yet on that. Like, there is a bar I can go to and hang out there and have some drinks, but I've been too busy doing other things like that. There's a bunch of healing mechanics. The healing, some works, some don't. There you get afflictions with, like, you're burned or you're freezing. So there's other things to help kind of heal that process. So they've taken a lot into your status account as far as what that kind of situation has at that time for your health, and you have certain things that will help kind of heal that quicker than others. So there's some like little touches like that. It's pretty cool to see. But yeah, getting back to the whole your crewmate and who to pick, again, it's just one of those things. I'm just starting to get presented with some of these options and opportunities of bringing them on. I could have done this a lot sooner if I would have done a little bit more of the story a lot faster, but I've been off in so many other directions. I just haven't seen it come up yet.
Are there alien races that you can pull crewmates from, potentially?
I've seen alien creatures, but not alien races that I've been speaking with.
Oh, okay.
So we will see if that's something that comes out later on. I gotta think that has something to do with the artifact, as that ties in, right? So there's this whole end game, new game plus at the end of Starfield as well, that there's going to be more to discuss, and we will be getting there at one point. It's just we'll see how much longer my journey has to take before I get there.
So it sounds like you're at about the 60-hour mark, and I bet there's a lot more than 60 left to go. But your journey is perhaps never ending. If you have to score this game at the moment, based on what you've seen, do you think this deserves a high praise? What would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be one of the most incredible experiences we played this year. Starfield set me on a path I never anticipated whatsoever, right? But it's one of those things, slow down and experience the world. I think that's the biggest key to this. You don't have to beeline a story. You just get in there and just set out your path and see what happens. And that's the opportunity Starfield brings, just endless opportunities. This is the game that we'll be playing for years to come and still hearing about stories later on. It is one of those magical moments that we get once in a while in gaming. There is definitely some problems, right? Like I said, with the gunplay, the stealth mechanic isn't really all that solid, and then some of the usual Bethesda jank that we're used to, getting hooked behind a door. But still, there's so many other things past this that just brought me around. I was like, I'm blown away. The whole faction quest, can't wait to see what else I get into. But I've fallen in love with Starfield. But it's just, man, if my character had a voice, that would have been right up there with everything else. Starfield is incredible, though. People are definitely going to be all over this, and I can't wait to see what everybody else has their experience, what their story unfolds, what you get into, Scott. It's going to be so cool. I'm right there, dude. It's got to be a 9 for me. It's just got to be a couple other little things missing here or there. It needs some tweaking, a little bit more polish, and we could have one heck of a game this year.
Hey everybody, this is Joseph Pasek, and welcome to the FiredUp Network. Welcome to the flagship show of the FiredUp Network, Fired Up Live. Welcome to CFL No Yards, and welcome back to the Hall of Famer John Freeman Nelson of OSG Sports in Atlanta. CFL Week 13, and this is where it begins. Okay? Yeah, 3-1-1-3, whatever.
It's Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day weekend. By the way, I want to personally thank everybody on the Fired Up Network team and everybody reaching out for their well wishes and great comments during what my family went through this past weekend or this week. Thank you to John, also a great captain of the Fired Up Network team. And also, while we're at this, hopefully everybody's safe. We have friends on the team from Tampa Bay and all that with the hurricane there. Hopefully you're staying safe and everything like that in Florida. John, you want to say anything about that?
Just make sure that you keep everybody in the Gulf side of Florida in your thoughts, because there was some nasty stuff that went through, especially Cedar Key, which is a couple of hours north of our friend Steve Carney in the Tampa area. Tampa got hit pretty hard as well. And then South Georgia, and as you and I are discussing things earlier in the day, it's heading up the eastern seaboard. So North Carolina, Virginia, just keep everybody in your thoughts on the eastern seaboard and everybody who's already been hit hard by it down in Florida.
And you're okay in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, just got kind of wet consistently over a couple of days, and now everybody's trying to dig out. And our the back patio back here at Office HD is rather flooded, so we're letting it dry out a little bit.
Get Giancarlo Lino to clean something out there, okay? So
I need him to go to Nino Diversa for me first and bring me some Italian food. We'll do that.
That's Carmen Asacco, which, by the way, you could see those two guys tomorrow. Soccer show here at 11:30. Let's get to the Week 13 in the Canadian Football League. And the first matchup is probably the best matchup. It's Saturday, 7 p.m. BC coming in at 7-4 up against in Montreal, who's 6-4. Who's your call?
Oh boy! I mean, both teams come off losses in this one, and if the Owls can come back and win this one at home, we all know how traditionally tough Molson is to play. Then they can prove that they're one of those top tier teams in the CFL with the double blue, and then Montreal coming in behind them. A win against BC, make sure that they could be a place in that argument for it. BC comes and wins, solidifies their top spot in that top tier, and Montreal working their way through. I just think that the travel is going to catch up with BC. I think it's going to be I legitimately think it's going to be Montreal's, even though BC in the juice boxes is a minus 196 and Montreal's a plus 150. I'll go with Montreal at home in a tough one.
You know what? I think you're going to be right, but for argument's sake, I'll say BC there and everything. And another good matchup on Sunday, 7 p.m. Winnipeg 9-2 into Saskatchewan, and Saskatchewan on Labor Day weekend. The crowd's going to be alive and all that. And I think we're going to be for a surprise. Let's go with Saskatchewan in this one. What do you say?
Yeah, I was going to go with Saskatchewan myself. I mean, the Blue Bombers traditionally, when it goes up against the Green Riders last couple of years, Winnipeg has been very, very tough going up against them. Craig Dickinson's team, they're off a bye. And then you've got the win against BC a couple of weeks ago. Then now the Bombers, they're trying to get over that, the nasty first half they had against the Owls where they had a lot of turnovers, which led to the blowout. So legitimately, and once again, we'll go juice boxes here just to let everybody know what's going on. Saskatchewan is a big underdog at a plus 234. Winnipeg's at a minus 312. I'm going to go with the Green Riders in this one just because of Mosaic and the aura of Labor Day weekend.
Well, I agree there. The next one for Toronto fans, it's the game that everybody goes in. And the Argos, historically, they had great teams going into Hamilton and laid an egg. The Argos come in at 8-1, Hamilton 4-6. This is Labor Day, 3:30 on Monday. Boy, oh boy, this is going to be a matchup. Congratulations to Chad Kelly, 3-year extension with the Argos. We're going to find out if the Argos are a team to beat. They're the reigning defending Grey Cup champions. We're going to find out soon if they are the team to beat this year for the Grey Cup. I believe they are. I believe the Argos eke out a 28-27 win.
Well, I look at it probably a little wider margin than you because Hamilton's 1-4 at home. Argos are 8-1. Taylor Powell's going to need to be sharp once again, and only his fifth start, and we know what the experience that Chad Kelly brings to the table. Once again, for entertainment purposes only, Toronto's a minus 370 going to Hamilton, who's a plus 271. I'm going Argos all the way.
All right, and then what did I tell you about last week? Nobody predicts the Edmonton Elks winning while they take on Calgary once again, this time in Calgary, 7 p.m. on Monday. Edmonton 2-9, Calgary 3-8. If Edmonton wins, they pass Calgary. I don't know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
I mean, legitimately, this is going to be, I mean, I think that this could be a very, very important tiebreaker if, you end up with a team that ends up winning both of these. Whichever team, if you can get a team taking both of these, this is what you're staring at. You get the rematch on Saturday, September 9th at Commonwealth. This is the first game of 2 with these two. If you can get a team that's going to sweep these, it'll go a long way in creating some space for any kind of possible idea of a playoff spot discussion or anything like that. But if it ends up with a split, or if the Elks can come in and win both of these, coming in at 2, they've won 2 in a row. And I just think that this one's going to be really, really interesting across the board just because of all of the subplot in the division in the West that's attached to it. Juice box is in this. Calgary's a minus 222 at home. The Elks are a plus 169. I'm going to ride the hot hand and go with the Elks in this one. We all thought that it was going to be one of the longest years humanly possible in the history of football with the Elks, with what they were doing early on this year, but apparently they have found something, and I will take that big number at a plus 169 and going up against Calgary. I think Edmonton gets it done, and then I also think, I'll go ahead and say it now, that they'll win the return leg on the 9th at Commonwealth to get the sweep.
Well, the next week, the 9th, a matchup, and we'll touch on it next week.
Montreal. I know. I'm just warming up the table to tease.
Yeah, Montreal. Now, I'm going to ask you this for Canadian folks, Labor Day, meaning the start of football, Labor Day Classic and all that. You're in America.
Mm-hmm.
What is Labor Day? And I know you want to go to Saskatchewan. You talked about your Phil Cantor there and all that. But what does Labor Day mean to you as American watching the Canadian Football League?
It means that I'm working. I mean, everybody sits there and looks at Labor Day and it's a day off. Well, for us, it's really not. For those of us who work in media, it's really not a day off because it's already football season and has been for a couple of weeks. So you're staring at it and you're going, yeah, it's a Monday. It's going to be on in the room. You're going to have college football going on. You're going to have CFL going on. It's going to be a very, very full grid for whatever devices you have that are key to watch things while you continue to work in your office space.
And don't forget, October in Canada is Thanksgiving.
That is true.
November in America, it's Thanksgiving.
That is absolutely accurate. That is true.
Yeah. So, and then December, I don't know if you know this, it's Christmas.
I was not aware of that, Joe. I was not aware that December is Christmas.
And I'll go through every month, but January is a new year, by the way. Can you believe tomorrow, start of September already?
I know.
Okay?
Crazy.
Unbelievable how I'm aging and still looking so good. All right, John, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, and tell everybody about your 6th book.
6th book, and it's over the shoulder, and it's Noble Strong Lessons in Destiny. You can pick it up on Amazon. There it is right there. Noble Strong Lessons in Destiny, book 6. Great story about a great family chasing after a tragedy in the community that wrapped themselves around as this gentleman on the cover was chasing after a state championship. So very, very cool story. Family very, very close to me and the boss, and we love them all very much. So that is book number 6, Amazon or Noble Strong Lessons in Destiny, either way. That is book number 6. Easiest way to get in touch with me right there is on the 280 character app. And it is at OSG Nelson. Don't forget to download the OSG Sports app, available on iOS and Android through Spreaker. It's basically speaker with an R in the middle. Do a search for OSG Sports. You get all your content there, whether it's soccer, college football, take your pick. It is all right there on the OSG Sports app, available iOS and Android.
And tomorrow, John will be back with Giancarlo and Carmen on the world-famous soccer show around 11:30. And next week, I'm giving you preparation. Next week, we're going to go CFL, but it's the start of the NFL, so I want Juice Box Pick of the Week. Next week, starting here on CFL No Yards, the Juice Box Pick, not your pick, a Juice Box Pick of the Week. Hopefully, you'll go ride Buffalo all the way to the Super Bowl. All right, John? Yeah, maybe I'll get Chris Berman also with his juice boxes. I think he's drinking too many juice boxes also, right? So, that's John Freeman Nelson, the Hall of Famer of OSG Sports. Check out Soccer Down Here and check out the soccer show tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Joseph Pesek, and welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live. Welcome to the Wrestling Show with my good friend Giancarlo Lino. First of all, Giancarlo and everybody on the Fired Up Network and everybody around the world, thank you for your kind well wishes regarding tragedy in my family last week. I appreciate all of you. Let's get to the wrestling show, Giancarlo. Let's first start off with AEW. What a week! What a week! They have All Out 81,000, all in, and then All Out and 81,035 paid. That's the highest grossing paid event ever in the history of wrestling. Secondly, leave it up to CM Punk to break that. Everybody should be talking about the highest grossing. What are they talking about? CM Punk having a fight with Jack Perry. CM Punk getting involved with Miro. CM Punk getting involved with Tony Khan. CM Punk getting involved with Giancarlo Lino. All right, let's start off talking with CM Punk, Jack Perry. Go ahead.
I don't even know where to begin with that. Like how that even started, like why that was made into a big thing. A little comment in a match on a pre-show, and CM Punk took it that personal. So I don't know why he would even bother. Like Jack Perry, supposedly a pillar of the company, and CM Punk, who they're not even in a feud or have anything to do with right now. But yeah, probably should have done something else backstage.
And then he getting involved with Miro. Miro would crush him.
Yeah, he'd probably want to avoid that. That wouldn't be wise of him. So Jack Perry, okay, that's winnable. Miro, I'd run. I wouldn't even go near that.
All right, let's start off since we didn't talk about this. What was your favorite match of the night? And boy, MJF and Adam Cole, baby, winning the Ring of Honor tag team titles with the kangaroo kick and the double clothesline.
Yeah, I kind of like that tag match. It was better than I thought it would be. Paul White coming out and knocking out Jeff Jarrett's big guy. I don't know what that whole feud was going towards, but if he gets back in the ring, like Jeff Jarrett, maybe if they want to do that, would make sense. But overall, I thought it was okay. The show was fine. Good for them to have a stadium event. I like the Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Hangman versus Golden Elite. I think there's possibilities there if they want to go in the direction with Kenny versus Jay White. So that was good. Will Ospreay getting his big moment, and then the main event. That was a good one to close the show.
Listen, you did call me, and you avoided this topic, right? And you all you needed to say is "scissor me, daddy ass." All right, how could you forget about that? They are now the trios champion. They've defeated or Malachi Black's group. And they're all dressed in pink. And on Dynamite, they came out with new pink strap belts and a scissor belt. How about that?
Yeah, that was the placement of that match didn't do him any favors. So I think if they put that earlier in the show, it would have had a better or more of a significance. So yeah, I wasn't too crazy about that one.
And what about Saraya winning the ladies' title with all her family there, and Tony Storm punching out her mom and everything like that? Tony Khan pulled out all the stops for All In. All right, let's get to Dynamite and then All Out. We'll preview All Out. But Dynamite, what did you think of Dynamite last night there? Main event. This guy, Orange Cassidy should be called Apple Juice because this guy just goes and goes and goes and goes, and now he's going to take on John Moxley. And John Moxley, whatever the stuff is on his head there, and like since he had a baby, the guy he has become worse than Mick Foley.
Yeah, Orange Cassidy's just proving to everybody what I've known from the start. He's an MVP of the brand. So Orange Cassidy,
he doesn't touch you, Giancarlo. When he goes to hit you, he just pushes you.
And he doesn't have a catchphrase. I think that's what makes it even more special. He's not forcing a catchphrase. He doesn't have a catchphrase. He just out with the message there that he's going to take out John Moxley, and looking forward to that one on Sunday.
That's and of course MJF and Adam Cole MJF the champion, not defending the heavyweight championship at All Out. Arguably, All Out's one of their biggest shows, probably their biggest show, and he's not even defending it. It's going to be best friends or whatever you want to call it, better than you, baby, up against a team. Should I spoil it? Because it's on Rampage. I won't spoil it, but they could have done better. They could have had the Young Bucks there. They could have, but whatever. We'll get to that. All Out preview in a second. Now let's get to the WWE. Anything strike you? WWE, of course, they did tributes. They threw out Jay and Jimmy Uso for this week only. They did tributes to Bray Wyatt. Unfortunately, he passed away. And more on Bray Wyatt. He contracted COVID earlier on this year that allowed him to have serious heart problems. They told him to have a heart defibrillator, and he refused to have the heart defibrillator, and he passed away due to a heart attack. Terry Funk, 79, passing away last week also. They did two, ceremonies. Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk there. What did you think, first of all, of those two ceremonies?
Yeah, I think you can't really do anything that's going to make it positive in a way for like the wrestlers, because they have to show their emotion in front of all the fans there, like the reaction to it. Like Eric Rowan, felt bad for him. Braun Strowman, like front and center like that. That's tough for them to go through. But it was well put together, the show, as far as like a tribute goes. And they managed to continue some of their stories. Like LA Knight came out and he did a tribute while also cutting a promo on The Miz at the same time. So the way they were dealing with it and continuing the show, I think that was positive on WWE's part.
So is the Miz and he's awesome, or is his name, if it's LA Knight, is it Miz Day because he comes out with LA Knight like LA Knight on Raw? And the best thing Zack Ryder or Mark Cardona said, this is the best thing he has done since marrying Maurice. All right, so what did you think of that segment on Raw?
Yeah, to me, this is really the main event of Payback. I think they should have pushed this on the Survivor Series. So hopefully they have something in the works there, because I think both of them have good chemistry together, and I think they could work a feud that long. So whatever happens at Payback, I hope they have plans to maybe have a rematch at Survivor Series, do like a brand versus brand thing, and let them go at it. I like how LA Knight referenced Aaron Stevens. Even when he had a stunt double, he was a star. So.
Yeah.
Nice little reference there. That's the least he can do, since he named his finishing move after Aaron Stevens' tag team in NWA. So good on LA Knight. You must be an Aaron Stevens fan.
And speak about Aaron Stevens, let's get to NWA 75. Aaron Stevens, now the manager of champions, Blunt Force Trauma, capturing the tag team titles.
There was no doubt there. When you have Aaron Stevens on the outside, you're going to go for gold and you're going to get it done. So I hope Aaron gets some more motivation out of that and sets his sights on the world title, because I think 10 pounds of gold, now that's off Tyrus and he's doing whatever on Fox News, EC3 has a title. I think Aaron could take the title off EC3.
A surprise on NWA 75. I don't think nobody talked about this. Everybody thought Camille was going to be a Roman Reigns 1,000 days and all that. Losing the title after like 815 days. What did you think of that? Was that a surprise to you?
Yeah, it was a surprise, but it makes this event, because the anniversary show for NWA, like when they had Ric Flair a couple years back, it was a big deal. So it shows that fans have to tune in now to watch these anniversary shows, because that's where something big is going to happen. And I think this was mission accomplished for them, and I think it's a well-deserved win. And now Camille can do another program with NWA and not have this long reign as just a focal point of all her storylines.
I think Camille should go to AEW and face Jade Cargill, and what a feud that would be. Champion of like 800 days, champion of 600 days, losing the title, never been seen, and then either forming AEW needs tag team ladies championships, just saying. All right, now before we get to, as you can see, good job by the manager there, or manager producer there, as the On the Mat Wrestling Show Payback preview here. So we're going to talk about well, there were so many things going on in wrestling. We can't forget that Impact Wrestling was here in Toronto at Rebel Nightclub. And by the way, they're coming back in November. And then there's going to be new graphics and everything for Impact Wrestling starting in 2024. And I expect them to come back to Toronto at least 4 times. 4 times. But everybody's talking about Impact Wrestling 1000 Impact show where the Dudley Boys are reunited. They're bringing back Awesome Kong. Giancarlo Lino is going to be back covering soccer for Sports Gita, and instead of doing stuff for Fired Up Network, he's going to be using that blue jacket of Aaron Stevens and everything like that. What did you think of Impact Wrestling here at Rebel Entertainment Complex for their show?
I didn't see it, so I don't know.
That's all for building it up and emergence.
Hopefully I'll catch some of the highlights, but what I heard.
You haven't caught any highlights? It's been a week already.
I haven't had a chance, but definitely will, because I saw the news there about that, how they're going to really put more and invest money in their production again. So for Impact, I think that's well needed, especially now. If you're going to compete with some of these other companies, up the production value, and I think it's about time they went in that direction.
All right, welcome to the On the Mat Wrestling Show, WWE Payback Preview Premier live event. Remember, Giancarlo, it's not a pay-per-view. This is a premier live event this Saturday from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kurt Angle, yes. Now let's get to the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus the Judgment Day, Damian Priest, and Finn Balor.
I say this is going to end in a DQ. I think JD is going to come out, and it's going to lead to Finn and JD teaming up at the next event. So I just think this is going to be a filler match. Might be good, but I think the outcome here is going to lead to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the newest member of the Judgment Day and Finn Balor at the next event.
All right, let's go to United States Championship. Austin Theory taking on the champion Rey Mysterio. By the way, you haven't mentioned this, so I'm going to have to mention this. Dominic Mysterio is what? A champion of what?
NXT.
NXT what champion?
North American.
Yes, North American. Rey Mysterio is what champion?
United States.
So isn't United States in North America? So United States and North America are covered by the Mysterios, correct?
Looks like it.
But they're Latin Americans because they're from Mexico and all that, right?
Yeah. Well,
so what is going on here?
Yeah, I think Dominic has the whole continent covered of North America. Rey Mysterio just has a country. So Dominic's really the leader of the family.
So Rey Mysterio should not be wrestling in Canada? Is that what you're saying?
That's Dominic's territory. Even the States, I think Dominic allows him to. So he's a champion of North America, Canada, United States. So Rey, he can have just one country. Dominic has both.
So hold on. I'm going to get the mommy on the phone, and let me see if mommy agrees with you. Okay? Okay. So anyways, Austin Theory, Rey Mysterio.
They can go either way here. Santos can come out and cost Rey Mysterio, and then they build a feud there, but with the LWO factions, and maybe that's how Carlito comes back and joins Rey, or they can have Rey just retain here. And Austin Theory just takes some time off and comes back as a face maybe down the road, but I'm going to go Rey Mysterio getting the win here.
What about teaming up Austin Theory and Grayson Waller?
I see them feuding with each other. I think Austin Theory would turn face.
Now, this should be according to Giancarlo Lino, this should be the main event of the evening. The Miz versus LA Knight or Miz Day versus LA Knight? Your call.
Yeah, it should be the main event because all the promos leading up to this show have been Miz and LA Knight carrying it. Shinsuke's done an amazing job, but these two have really stole the show. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Miz gets a sneaky win here and they continue this feud because I think they originally thought that it may have been just a one and done, have LA Knight win, but I think they might get some more life out of this after Payback.
By the way, I forgot to mention the tag team title match is a Steel City street fight. All right, I forgot to mention because here we have a steel cage match between Giancarlo Lino's, well, should I say good friend Trish Stratus and Giancarlo Lino's man Becky Lynch.
Oh, you want my prediction on this? Yeah, I think Becky wins.
No, I want you to sit here and tell me about your man. No, come on.
Yeah, Becky wins, I think. Ends this feud. I think it's gone on a little too long here. They pulled the whole Hulk Hogan card on this by just having finishes be like count out, DQ, and ends in a cage match. So they went old school type of thing with this feud, but I think it's time for Becky and Trish to move on. I wouldn't be surprised if in the coming weeks we see Zoe Stark attack Trish and they do Zoe and Trish as a way to put Zoe Stark over more. So I have Becky winning here.
No way Zoe's going over Trish. No way. All right. Another ladies match. Ladies Women's World Title. Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez.
Yeah, this should have actually been at SummerSlam. I think they dropped the ball there. And just the build-up for it, I think, suffered because of that. Because at SummerSlam, if they added that to the card when it was at like a high there, I think they would have had a lot of momentum going into Payback, and they could have been having a rematch right now. So I think Rhea Ripley wins here, but I think they're going to have a rematch at the next event. I just don't see it ending in a clean win. I think it's going to be Dominic getting involved.
World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Giancarlo Lino, how's your back?
Amazing.
Yeah, how's Seth Rollins' back?
According to Shinsuke, from the subtitles, I see it's not good.
Does he finish this match with a backbreaker?
I hope so. I think it's about time Shinsuke wins a title. They've been teasing it for 5 years now, and I think it's long overdue. If they don't capitalize on him and give him at least a shot at being the world champion and let him run with it, I don't see
I'm going to
having.
be honest with you. I like to see that too, and I like to see him get a day, more than an hour, more, because if he wins the title, you know who's cashing in the Money in the Bank. All right, and you know who's going to be the champion there, leading into the next Premier Live event. I could see that happening. I could see Shinsuke winning and then losing it 10 seconds later to Damian Priest, or I could see Seth Rollins retaining in a good match. And I wouldn't mind these guys having a 2 or 3 month feud. What do you say?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either. Give Shinsuke more of a platform to do his Japanese promos, which are really hitting online. And I think he can run with it. Like when he was a heel the last time, it didn't really work. And AJ, like they had like 4 or 5 matches where it was the same outcome each time, and they didn't really give him a win. And until later on, like in the pandemic, where a throwaway match on SmackDown ended up being their best match of the feud in front of nobody, and Shinsuke got the win there. So I think they need to do something with Shinsuke, give him a world title, give him the opportunity, let him run with it, and it might actually work. So maybe even they go to Japan, premium live event in the Tokyo Dome, and Shinsuke's a champ, do big business over there. Wouldn't be surprised if they do that next year.
All right, don't forget the WWE Premier Live event. Payback happens this Saturday, 8 p.m. from Pittsburgh, and should be a good card, even though not the greatest card on it. A lot of wrestlers are not on it, but we'll see what happens. Then Sunday, another weekend. It's Labor Day weekend. We got wrestling coming up our wazoo from last week to this week. And next week, I mentioned Impact Wrestling having their 1000th anniversary show, and they have another show. But Sunday, from the United Center. It is AEW, not All In, but All Out. All right? It's not All In, Giancarlo. It's All Out. Okay? We're going to start with this match here. This should be a good match. 8-man tag match. Bullet Club Gold, Austin Colton Gunn, Jay White, and Juice Robinson versus FTR and the Young Bucks.
Yeah, I think this is going to be Bullet Club Gold getting the win. I think the Young Bucks super kick somebody in FTR to continue their feud because they weren't so reciprocating of the handshake last week. They just left, so I don't see that playing out in their favor.
Yeah, but they made that up on Dynamite. They did, special things.
Yeah, Dynamite, but once they're in the ring together again, I think the super kick is coming out. So look out for that one.
All right,
And
so-
their Bullet Club, they were all part of the same little faction there. So I think they would sacrifice a win there for Bullet Club.
Hey, come on. Let me tell you. Let me speak to you. Let me talk to you. All right. How does Colton and Austin Gunn get like sort of a semi-main event when their father is a champion now, and now they're in whatever. All right. So I'm gonna spoil this. Okay. It's gonna happen on Collision. This is one of the matches that CM Punk was supposed to be at, but he's suspended. By the way, he's suspended, John Carlo.
Allegedly.
Nobody knows when he's suspended. Nobody knows how long he's going to be suspended, but it was supposed to be CM Punk versus Ricky Starks. Now, they're going to announce a strap match. Ricky Starks versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. They should call it a Ricky match. Who is your pick?
Yeah, Ricky Starks is winning. I don't know. Hopefully it's not as rough because, Ricky Steamboat's up there in age there. Hopefully they tone it down. But, yeah, Ricky Starks should get the win.
All right. So, AEW TBS Championship match, Chris Statlander versus Ruby Soho. Try to sing Ruby Soho's song. Come on.
I don't even know it. So, isn't it just Soraya's song? They all come out together now?
Yeah, well, that's the Outcast. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I see Statlander getting the win.
Ruby Soho. Come on. Don't you remember? Never mind. Go ahead.
I can't see her winning. They wouldn't have had her beat Jade if she was going to have like a short title reign. So I would expect Chris Statlander to have a long reign here. And maybe it's a back and forth match, but I just don't see Ruby getting the win here.
All right. Then we got this is a good hard hitting a slobber knocker. It should be Powerhouse Hobbs versus Miro.
Yeah, this is a big time match with like a week long build. Miro, I think, gets the win, and I don't see it happening clean. I think QTV gets involved, the whole crew, and we're going to see a double DQ lead into maybe at Grand Slam a rematch, and that's where Miro gets his win clean.
Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship match. Better than you, baby. Adam Cole and my good Jewish friend who's in Paris eating some baguette and whatever with rats versus the winner of the Battle Royal on Rampage. If you do not want to know, just put mute for a couple seconds. It is the Dark Order. Alex Reynolds, John Silver. Who's your call?
Yeah, MJF and Adam Cole win it. And
no, really?
You never know. The Dark Order, they make it a big push, but I don't see it happening now. But yeah, after this match, I'd like to see where this whole thing develops with Roderick Strong. I think Kyle O'Reilly would be the one to come out, and him and Roderick Strong coming in and challenging the champs, but it's going to all depend on O'Reilly's health. So right now I see them just continuing with the build until then, and Roderick Strong and MJF look like the match at some point in the next couple weeks.
TNT Championship match. Darby Allin goes up against champion Luchasaurus, champion Christian Cage. Who's the champion really?
Yeah, I think Christian's a champion. Or if Christian loses, then they'll come up with a contract saying he wasn't even really the champion. He was just wrestling with the title. So I think
Luchasaurus is going to be up there now. So
yeah, I think Sting and Christian are going to get involved again. Sting will cost Christian the match. Once Luchasaurus gets involved, he'll win the odds, and I think Darby Allin wins it.
AEW International Championship, Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley. Now, I mentioned on WWE, we got the Intercontinental title, the U.S. title, the North American title. Now, in AEW, you got the International title. So which one is the bigger title, International, North American, or U.S.?
I think the International, because Orange Cassidy's holding it, but you never know. Dominic is the biggest heel in the business, so I think he makes a strong argument there.
All right, so who's your call in this one?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I would like Orange Cassidy to get the big win, but he has used up a lot of energy the last couple of weeks, so I don't know if he had that in reserve, how much energy he has left, but I think Jon Moxley wins it, and this international title, I would not be surprised if it turns into a hardcore title.
Really? Wow. All right, tag team match just announced. Eddie Kingston and his tag team partner, Shabbat versus the Bullet Club, or Blackpool Combat Club, sorry, Claudio and Wheeler.
Yeah, I don't see Claudio and Wheeler Yuta winning the match, so I got Shibata and Eddie getting the win here. I just don't know why they just throw these tag matches like that. Like, is the Forbidden
Because
Door already
don't you
happened?
understand? No, because first of all, Jack, CM Punk, and then they bring in. We're talking about the next match, Ring of Honor World Championship, World TV Championship. It is Samoa Joe, and I like this guy, Shane Taylor. All right, they bring him in from like we haven't seen this guy in 6 months. All right. Oh well, you get a championship match in our number 1 pay-per-view spot. So go ahead.
Yeah, this is supposed to be an AEW show. I thought Ring of Honor and AEW was kind of separate, but I guess everyone's wrong there. I think Samoa Joe wins. A hard-fought match. Would have been nice to see a build on TV, but they have 3 events they're building at the same time, so I understand why. And yeah, I just don't think this is going to get the time that some of the other matches are going to get.
3 events? Which 3 events are you talking about? All in, all out, and what?
Grand Slam.
Yes, that's. I'm going to get to that in a second, but let's Canadian A, Kenny Omega versus his hated opponent, where you know for a fact that Don Callis is going to get involved in this one. Takeshita and Kenny Omega, your call.
This can go like either way here. I think Kenny still loses, but I don't know if I think Chris Jericho plays a part in this, but it's either him turning and costing Kenny the match or him coming out after the match when Takeshita's beating down Kenny and Jericho comes in to set up that feud. So I think Takeshita wins.
You're wrong, because Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho are going after the tag team belts, and look for this match to be added maybe to 0 hour. But, Kenny Omega or Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara up against the former Ring of Honor Tag Team champions who lost the belt to MJF and Adam Cole on Sunday. That's possibly going to be added to this lineup. I gotta say, this lineup, because of All In, is rather weak. And where's Bryan Danielson in all this? I know
Broken arm.
Yeah, but come on, we're talking about 2.5 months already since June 25th. This is September.
So that means it was worse than he thought it was, and he's going to probably be out for another month.
Yeah, well, all I know is there's going to be a battle royal or a tournament to decide who's the number 1 contender to MJF's title, and he's going to face him at Grand Slam. So who do you think that number 1 contender is?
Roderick Strong.
Really?
Has to be. And I don't know why they have so many tournaments. They have to cut the tournaments out. Just say this is a number 1 contender match. They have 50 tournaments in the span of 4 months. It's good for TV, but it's too many brackets. Make a tournament special and just do a number 1 contender match.
Well, I forgot to mention at All In, we saw something in the crowd, and we saw Mercedes Moné, formerly Sasha Banks. Does that mean she's coming to AEW? Does that mean you have a new 4-horsewoman lady where you could have Sasha, you could have Jade Cargill, maybe DMD and somebody else. That again, that maybe Camille, right? That can be really something there. But Grand Slam happens September 20th, and they announced another pay-per-view during the press conference for All In. They announced on October 1st that they're going to have. It's going to be again New Japan and AEW. Wrestling Dream or Wrestle Dream. But we also forgot to mention that on Emergence, Impact Wrestling, and he had an amazing match at All In, but Impact Wrestling will have for Bound for Glory, their number one, their WrestleMania, they're going to have some guy named Will Ospreay. So Will Ospreay just wrestling in front of 81,035 fans for AEW. Now he's going to wrestle for 813 fans for Impact Wrestling at Bound for Glory. What do you say about that?
I think it's good for Impact. Hopefully they benefit off that, but I don't know what they're gonna have planned for it. Will Ospreay was there, I know, a long time ago, like 2016, 15, I think. So should be nice of them to get him when he's at his peak of his popularity or height of his popularity.
All right, so don't forget this Sunday, AEW brings you All Out, not to be confused with All In, from the United Center in Chicago, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. and expect another 4-hour show, all right? Because this one, All In 4 hours. Every AEW pay-per-view is 4 hours. Again, Labor Day weekend, we got WWE Premier Live event Saturday 8 p.m. with from Pittsburgh Payback. Sunday AEW All Out from Chicago at 8 p.m. and a great job by the producer here. We're going.
I wonder if the post press conference is going to top last year's.
Yes, that's the one other thing I was going to tell you. Giancarlo Lino will not. I'm pulling him from the after show press conference because last year he started off the trouble. He had some dogs running after him. He had Kenny Omega there. He had what's going on, Giancarlo? All right, I had to pull you from this one here. Okay, you're going to be at TFC and covering that and York United, so I had to pull you for there. But as you know, this Saturday also, UFC has a big event. Even though it's a fight night, it's in Paris. Yes, in Paris. And it will begin at 3 p.m. Well, the pre-show begins at noon and 3 p.m. Eastern from Paris, France. We'll talk about the main event, but any other match besides the main event that you want to talk about?
Yeah, the co-main event is interesting. Rose Namajunas moving up to flyweight. She's a former strawweight champion, 2-time champion, and this is a new weight class she's taking on Manon Fiorot. So this could be either rough or you can see a more tactical win there from Rose Namajunas and shows that really flyweight is her natural weight class. So that's going to be a interesting one.
In fact, the 4 of the major fights from main card fights, their one opposition is from France. It's from France. And who are you calling in this one? Because you talk about Rose Namajunas number 2 and her opponent number 3. So this is definitely whoever wins this is number 1 contender.
Yeah, I think I would lean more towards Rose Namajunas, but the way Fiorot has looked, and she's been competing at flyweight while Rose has been competing at 115 pounds. The size advantage might play a factor. Who knows how Rose actually looks physically once the weight cut's done at 125. So I'll lean more towards Fiorot winning by decision. I think this is going to be a good one.
And Benoit Saint Denis up against Thiago Moises. They're a very even fight. Who do you call this one? Lightweight bout.
Yeah, this one in that division especially, and you know that Saint Denis is going to have the hometown crowd in his favor. I think he wins it. I think he's going to go for a submission. That's what he's known for. I don't see this going to a decision at all. If this doesn't end in probably like the first round, that first bit of like urgency that we'll see out of Moises, I think he gets submitted. So I think Saint Denis wins by second round submission.
All right, let's get to the main event there. Cyril Gahn up against his opponent, Gahn number 2 ranked in the heavyweight bout. Definitely, if he wins, he's in next in line. Whoever wins between John Jones. Who do you call in this one?
Yeah, Sergey Spivak's looked good. His last 3, but Cyril Gahn, he really needs a win here. That fight against John Jones wouldn't, if there was a performance of the night for anyone else, it would be at his expense. So he needs a performance to erase everybody's memory of that, because it was not what anybody expected. He got taken down easily. Jones just had his way with them. We didn't even really see Jones have to deal with his striking. So if Cyril Gahn wins this, I still think he needs to get a couple more under his belt. If I don't think, as long as John Jones is champion, that fight's not happening. So I'm going to go with a surprise here. Cyril Gahn wins this, but it's not going to be by knockout. I think he wins it by a decision.
Wow. I think that if he does win it by decision, is that the longest bout he can have since he entered?
I think it's going to be more tactical. I don't think he's going to take any chances like he did against Tai Tuivasa, where it was a fight of the night. He won it. It was in Paris also. I think like for the first UFC fight in Paris, adrenaline and emotions got the best of him, because he could have lost that one too. And then you're talking about like a losing skid for him. So I think he'll be more tactical with this fight. And I think he'll like just pick his spots, time his shots, like not take any crazy risks. And I think he gets a unanimous decision.
All right. Final question as we close out here on UFC On Guard preview of Fight Night. Let's get to, there's been a lot of talk of UFC 300. Ronda Rousey potentially coming back, Brock Lesnar potentially coming back. But I guarantee you, one thing that you're going to see at UFC 300, I believe it's in March, correct?
Or April.
March or April. One thing that you're going to see is you're going to see the debut of Giancarlo Lino going into the octagon. So, Giancarlo, you have 6 months. Are you training, saying your prayers, eating your? Oh, that's wrestling. Have you cut off? Oh, that's also wrestling. Has GSP told you to go on Bet 999? Like, what are you doing for your debut in the octagon?
Nothing, because if I did have one, it'd be non-existent. UFC 5, creative fighter, put him in the game. That's the only thing that you'll see me anywhere near.
And when is UFC 5 coming out?
No clue.
I hear it.
They revealed that Volkanovski's on the cover, so that could also be the EA Sports curse. So hopefully he doesn't lose his title now that he's on the cover.
If I gave you the book here, like we're going to talk wrestling here, but give me the 3 major fights at UFC 300.
UFC 300, I would say, I don't think Conor McGregor would be on that. I think they would use the pay-per-view buy rate for like a 301 or 299. So you get back-to-back pay-per-views. I get a lot. I would put Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje for the BMF title. I think Holloway could move up. I don't think he and Volkanovski fight for a 4th time. I don't think that makes sense because he lost all 3. And I would also put Alex Pereira, depending on if they go in December, him versus Yuri Prohaska. Another one. Henry Cejudo taking on Sean O'Malley if it gets to that point.
And what about a ladies' bout?
Yeah, ladies' bouts now, like they're pretty much doing all the ones that fans want to see. I would like to see Zhang Wei Li versus Valentina Shevchenko, but if Shevchenko loses again to Alexa Grasso, I don't see that fight happening. So that's a fight, I think. If for a women's like super fight type of thing, I think that would be a fun one.
All right, that's Giancarlo Lino. Giancarlo will be back here tomorrow for the soccer show, 11:30 a.m. Yeah, right. Go ahead, Giancarlo. Tell everybody how they could get a hold of you.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter, John_411, Instagram, Giancarlo_Alino, and check out my articles on firedupnetwork.ca and sportsgate.com.
All right, Giancarlo will be back here tomorrow. Thanks a lot, Giancarlo.
Thanks, Sean.